Mhm. Test is open. So Christina, who said today she had to be online, so there's Christina. Where's the one that's this window is showing? Okay, so I'm gonna put you here. Hi, Christina.
Hi.
Nice to see you there. You got that
Oh, you too.
golden
Are we
glowy.
the only two?
Um,
Or am I the only one?
no. Susan and Elvira and Paola are here.
Okay, great.
Chase hasn't arrived yet, and I don't know, online, they're walking in. Gregory is coming and Susie's coming right now. They are. All right. Cool. Yeah.
Great.
Anyway. Okay, so hi Susie, hi Gregory.
Hello.
Nice to
The house.
see you guys, since I don't see you yet. I got your message, Gregory. So good. I never know where to say. I say Greg, and then I continue going Gregory. What's your? How do you? I think I asked you at the beginning. I think you said Gregory, right? Not Greg.
I go by both ways. Either one's fine.
For some reason, other names it doesn't. But Gregory sounds like you need to say Greg to it, doesn't it? I don't know.
Like I'm getting in trouble, yeah.
I know, Gregory. Yeah, my son's name is Santiago, and if I call him Santiago, he knows he's in trouble. It's like Santi. Otherwise, it's like Santiago Belinsayo. He's like, top of that, we have like both last names, and it's like this long name. Like, otherwise, it's just, hey, Santi, you know.
Yeah, I think, I don't know, I don't think it's like another culture. I think that's.
I know that we go Santiago Paulino Belinsayo, every single name, because we all have these really long names, right? It's like, okay, but I don't know. Greg seems to have figured that Gregory is also a thing you do when you're in trouble. So maybe it's not just our culture. Anyway, all right. So thanks everyone for dealing with last week. I have a question which I asked here, and it's okay if it's yes or no, but did anyone watch the videos that I linked last time? Oh, look at me with my two sets of glasses. Did anyone watch the videos that I linked last week? Nope for Greg.
Yes, I did.
That's for Christina. All right. You deserve
Did.
like, bing, extra points. And Susie?
No, I was out of signal. I was in the desert in
All right.
Mojave.
Well, here's the thing, Christina, that you are.
I actually like the story that you shared.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I have some great stories there. And you all missed it.
I have to watch it.
But yeah, so now we're just in on the secret here, Christina, because others just went straight to do the assignments. But I might be generous enough to tell it to you in a short form. But anyway, what I was trying to say is that I'm going to see how much or how little I have to tell you today, based on, did you guys have any questions? Or, I mean, the grades are great for these assignments. Did anyone get stuck on anything? Did you have questions about anything about module 1? Did it all work?
I think the first report, I mean, the last part when it's like a checking the grammar,
Mhm.
I did check it and still have like, oh, you didn't change. But I mean,
Yeah, what happened?
do it again.
What happens to that usually is, unless you scour it, there's probably an extra space, an upper lowercase, there's from something really, I'm putting the grades here and I know that I can't share them. So I'm just, I'm putting it on the other screen just to make sure that, I can check on. Give me a second here. But in general, of all the assignments, of all the applications, this one's my favorite. But you guys might have guessed it. If you remember, I'm a graphic designer. That's I'm an artist, I'm a photographer. So of course, PowerPoint is my favorite. And in a way, that story that Christina, only you and I know about, has to do with the fact that I have done this professionally. I've created PowerPoints professionally for clients and stuff for many years, for nonprofits, for whatnot. And it's the story of one very harrowing episode. But so based on that, I teach you some important things. But the whole point is that it's easy. PowerPoint to start with, it's easy. But because of its ease, you can end up doing some horrible PowerPoint presentations, because in no time you begin to have like tons of lines, tons of different stuff that shouldn't be really part of it. And if you guys, I'm trying to see if I have the file here. Let me see, because I didn't upload it. But let me see if I have. Don't think let me see. No. There is a file that I had some samples, but I don't think yeah, here it is. Let me see. This is not necessarily the one I wanted to show you, but it's similar. So I'm downloading it from another part of the class. All right. So I'm gonna spend just a couple of minutes showing you a presentation that I should have shown last time. And today we're gonna be working on the skills that you're gonna do for PowerPoint 2. Let me see. Okay, there's Chase and Maricela. Awesome. Everyone's here. All right. Hi there. Hi, Chase. Hi, Maricela.
Hey, sorry, the Wi-Fi was acting up. Didn't want to log in for a while.
What's that? What's that?
My Wi-Fi was crashed, so I had to like get rebooted. So
That's fine. You're here. That's all that matters. Okay. So just a quick question. And again, the answer is yes or no is fine. But Maricela and Chase, did you get a chance to watch the video that I posted last week, or did you just go ahead and do the assignments?
I just did the assignment because I've done PowerPoint before, so
Yeah, I know. It's
it's
fine.
pretty easy.
You too. Okay, great. Christina, it's still just you. All right. All right. So here's the thing. What I was saying is that PowerPoint is so easy in some senses that it's very easy to make messy, disgusting, boring, completely overwrought and badly designed PowerPoint presentations. So you need to have your own sense of design if you want, or your own sense of limiting yourself in order to make things work. So I'm going to just really quickly run through a presentation here that I showed briefly last week in the video about what not to do. So let me share. Where's my Zoom? Hold on. I have it on the other screen. I need to move Zoom over here. Let me share this screen for a second. And so this is just a few slides to show you what hopefully not to do. One of the things that happens is, let's say that this is a PowerPoint presentation. How easy it is for you to listen to me and to read that slide? Aren't you like deciding which one to do?
Mhm.
Yeah, like good presentations, you don't want to have much wording, because otherwise, you know, it's you, me, or that, and something's got to give. So wordiness is the biggest thing that you need to get rid of. Consider that a presentation is something that will always be best when it's focused on the person giving the presentation. there's only a few things, like it's more like a slideshow or something, where you sit back and you just put slides through or something like that. And there's such a thing as a self-running presentation where you go up to like a booth in a conference and you just kind of sit there and you watch them show you how to use a certain thing that they're trying to sell you, and it just runs, right? But other than that, most of the times the presentations that we're talking about are presentations where you're gonna and the ones that you do here in these assignments are a bit more like those self-running. They're more like advertising or something. It's not like someone standing there and talking about the things that you know, the ones that you did for homework. But has anyone here ever watched TED Talks, for example? Yeah, so if you think about TED Talks, that's kind of like the better side of it, where it's really focused on the person, and now and then they have to emphasize a point or something, and then you'll see a slide, an image that truly, you know, drills down the point and helps you understand more. Does that make sense? So the most important thing in presentations is actually the images that help and support your narrative. The presentations that I do here, by the way, and a lot of times teachers do that too. These are more like informational, where I'm like giving you information that if you later need to check on what's the assignment, what's the whatever, but it's not like I'm trying to have you use the presentations as a teaching tool. It's more like I'm showing you things. It's more like handout presentations is what I do here. But so if you haven't yet ever gone to a TED Talk, just go to Google and just say TED Talks and just watch any. There's just about any of them are amazing. The real ones, there's all these like TEDx and other stuff that is more like, they're a little bit less intense, but basically that's what you should do. So let me go ahead and click. I wasn't moving forward, but this is another example of the worst thing that could ever happen to you is you be in a presentation where the presenter goes, fresh fruit leads Chile's export mix. Chile emerges as a major supplier of fresh, you know, like reads to the slides. And there's very few of you guys, but raise your hand if you've ever been in a presentation where people just read the slides to you. Yeah, so 3 out of 3 over here. I don't know how many use at home, but it's like, really? Like, come on, that's not, you know, the whole point. Unless I'm trying to make a point of, hey, these are the 3 assignments you need to do or something like that. But you want to have it be always, and I'm talking now about how to perform a presentation for you guys. First of all, you need to be looking at your clients, audience, members, the board, you know, board of directors that you're trying to convince of something, or whatever the reason, your you know, class that you're doing your presentation for your grade, whatever you're doing, you got to not be turn around. But then if you have your computer in front of you, you can also be like looking over there and not like hearing. So the most important thing is you need to know your stuff. This should be there to support your material, but you shouldn't be needing to read it in order to know what you're saying. Okay, so you got to run through it and practice it before you go. And then if you have to, truly have to write all this text, which no one has to, ideally you would, you know, summarize this into one little line and then you speak this whole thing. But you have a place where you can make notes. And it's in those notes that you write this whole other stuff that if you need to go, was it year 2016 or 20,000 pounds of whatever, like you can support yourself, but you don't need to have it all in the text. And if you truly need to have all this text in there for one or the other, then divide it into 5, 10, 15 slides and just talk individually about them. Okay. All right. This is the biggest problem with PowerPoints. Either you get tons of stuff. One last thing about this one, you have to consider where you're giving the presentation. And I think this has to do a little bit with my long story, but you need to know where you're going to give it. And if you're going to be in a small room, they might be able to read a font this size, but for the most part, you need to assume that you can't go under, say, 20 points for a small room, you know, 25 points font for a bigger room. And I had a presentation once that I did in the Arlington Theater. And fortunately I had gone the day or whatever that week to look. And yeah, Arlington Theater, I don't know if you guys, it fits 2,000 people in there. And where we could put all the slide, it was slide projectors at that point, was so far that I had to like redo and review a lot of the text because it was coming out really tiny. So you need to kind of be aware, it's the same presentation doesn't work for all the different places that you're gonna do. So you're gonna like want to know what you're doing. So even if you do this big font that I have in this one, it's still too much text. This one can be divided into 1 slide, 2 slides, 3 slides, 4 slides, 5 slides, and not into this. So never put ideally more than 6 words per slide. That's what people can grasp and read while it's talking. You can still kind of see a major point, and then my words would emphasize it, right? All right. Hi, Liliana.
Hi, Diana.
Nice to see you. Did someone ask something? Did someone say something? I think I heard. No? I thought I heard Chase or Gregory. It was a man's voice. Okay. Maybe it was someone in the background of one of you guys. Never mind. No, there's no question. I'll continue. So anyway, I'm just showing what not to do, Liliana. So do not put a bunch of slides, just put a couple of words only. And be careful with colors. Okay? Don't like kill people. Aren't you already trying to pull out your sunglasses right now? All right. Color really matters and contrast really matters. So basically and I know this looks like it's exaggerated. Guys, these are samples picked up from existing slideshows. Okay? This is not like we faked it to make it bad. So, you gotta have, first of all, bright colors like this. If you're gonna have a really bright color, make it an emphasis, a bullet point or something for people to look like, not a whole background where you just kind of like want to look away, especially if the information is important. But the other thing would be to make sure that you have, if your letters are dark, your background is light. If your letters are light, your background is vice versa. Your background is dark, your letters are white. If your letters are dark, your background is white. Whatever, you got it. Opposites, not like this. And beyond the fact that you don't want those bright ones, there's also just bad color schemes. If you look at this from afar, which of these can you actually read? Easily. Nausea kind of stands up. Death by PowerPoint kind of stands out, right? And that has to do with it. These are colors, if you know about color theory, these are kind of on the opposite sides of the scale. And so they work. But if you have 2 colors that are very near each other and you're putting them one on top of the other, it won't work. So again, which one is this one's, I don't know why I have 2 pair of glasses in my hand. Okay. So, just be careful of that. And now, the worst thing ever. Today, we're going to go on with animations. We're going to talk about transitions and animations. And it is so easy to make these things happen that people get excited, right? And they start like, woohoo, and they start doing all this junk. And because a simple click gives it to you. So this is where being too easy makes people get really excited. Don't, okay? Basically just don't. And then this is also easy. Like stuff. It is so, again, little tiny buttons make you be able to do all of that. And that. And that. And that. Yeah. Okay. So basically it's fun. Here's the thing. There is a place for these kind of things, but it's mainly for emphasis. If you have a whole slideshow where everything's the same, and then you really want to make a point about something, sure, it's fine to have a little ball come and jumping in and have you like, go, oh, look at that, right? But after 1 or 2 of these, people are like, boom, it just doesn't mean anything anymore. Okay, so be very careful with all of the things that you're going to learn how to do today. And then, of course, the good old be prepared, because if you're doing a presentation, I mean, if you're just submitting it as an assignment or whatever, but if you're doing a presentation, it's so typical to get there and discover that you did it on a Mac, you get there, it's a PC, you can't find the connection, the thing isn't work, to get there and not make it work. So go to the space that you're going to have it in, prepare, plan, know the equipment, have all the connections, run through it so that when you get there, you have it. Nothing worse than to have, 10 to 100 people waiting and, oh, sorry, guys, 10 minutes later, still trying to troubleshoot it. So anyway, make sure that you have that. Okay, so if you're going to have a number of slides and you have tons of slides, attention at the beginning is really good. And by the time you're done, this is what happens. Okay, so as I said, yes, if you have a ton of text, make more slides. But ideally, also be careful with how much time you have because yeah, people have a short attention span. So anyway, those are the worst things you could do. Try to avoid them, hopefully. One pet peeve I have as a PowerPoint and designer is that none of the presentations that you learn how to do here, I consider any good at all. I think I mentioned that the first day of class. That said, they are good examples to teach you how to use the application, but they're not, no good. Just so you know, no, they're not attractive, they're not good. And in fact, I don't know if it's in this version or not, but I remember, I think that was in the last version of assignments, but there's this bicycle where they tell you how to stretch it and then the wheels turn into ovals. And I'm like, oh my God, but that's the assignment instructions. Was it in these? No.
It was with the conference. Yeah, that was.
So, hopefully I'll be showing you a little bit more about how to do things proportionally. But anyway, it still is going to run you through all of the samples and all the options, but yeah, don't ever think that I'm thinking that what you're going to do here as assignments is a pretty presentation. All right. So, nor are these that I'm doing here. So voila, since we're on the day of extreme, since this is the day of where I teach you that's an example where, hey, once people go, every single slide, people go, oh my God. Okay. So if you're going to use an effect, be careful with it. All right. So today you had PowerPoint 1, 2, 3, do, and see how it can get old really quickly. Next week, you have PowerPoint module 2, again, textbook project and 2 SAMs. But there's another assignment here. That's an extra credit that you're able to open it now, but it's due in 2 weeks. So the last day of class, which is an extra credit assignment of cropping and resizing, because in particular, I hate what you learn through this. So I'm going to show you a little bit more. And hopefully, if you do that, you might have a bit of a better idea of how to handle images when you have to do your own side. It's extra credit. You can do it or not, but I think it's a good one to learn how to actually do things correctly. Okay. You see my point? Something that all you went, the first time you're like, right? It really gets to be, and these are the same one. You can do 25 different ones at least if you're going to do one like that, do the same one, because then it becomes kind of transparent. You kind of like sit there and wait it out, but you don't focus on it. Otherwise, if you start doing each time a different one, people begin to pay attention to what are you doing next instead of what you're actually trying to talk about. Maybe you're talking about something important, donate money to this really important cause. And people are like, ooh, looking at something else, which isn't the point of your presentation. Now, this, in fact, is an important slide. As of today, you can start taking or retaking the first 2 exams, one of them. Okay. So you can either retake the Windows 10 or, or that doesn't exist anymore, or that was a typo, or the computer concepts exam. Sorry, by resetting it up, it opens up again. So, and you have a whole week. We're going to do them online again. You need to tell me which one you're taking. You can't take both. So go to your grades, choose and see, and go, oh, I'm fine in both, not taking either. Or, I think I can do much better with this one now that you've had a bunch more practice, especially the Windows one. You've been using Windows for quite a while now, so you might do better just because you know it. Or if some of you really kind of missed out on the computer concepts exam, go and do that one. This is, the old score will be dumped and the new score will be replaced. But if you get a worse score, then the old one will stay. Okay, so the highest score stays. Yeah. So if you do worse, if you do better, yay. If you do worse, then the first score is the good one. Okay, so you can't go wrong. Because at most you can do the same or better. you won't do worse. I mean, if you do worse, we'll just ignore it. So email me and tell me, I'm not gonna do any, or sure, I'll do this one, or I'll do that one. And then I'll go and check and make sure, because I have a record of all the grades that you had and I can consider. And if you, for any reason, decided to take both, because technically you can, I will look and I will nix the grade of the two and give you only the highest one. So just don't, because I'll undo that work. So don't bother. To prepare again, I have a page here in Canvas that you link in module 14 that you can link back to the trainings. Okay. I'm going to show it to you in a second, and you can just go ahead and do that. And hold on, let me move this out of the way. So zoom in the way. Oh, because I'm sharing, I can't move it out of the way. Hold on. I got you guys in the other screen. I need to move you out so I can share something else with you guys. Here you go. So if I'm going to share, that's why I've got your grades. Hold on, can't share the grades with you. It's not kosher. Second here. Okay. I'm gonna turn off the grades. Good. All right. So now in your Canvas, if you go to today's module, let me go to student view. You go to today's module, which is module 14, week 14. I know, guys, we're 2 weeks away from the end of class. Oh, 3 weeks. Yeah. But because we end on a Tuesday of the last week, right? And this is Tuesday, so it's pretty close. So anyway, if you scroll up to week 14, let me move over to week 14. Then I have here, oh, and yes and no. You have it in front of you guys. I'm sharing it on this monitor. You can, but you have it basically on week 14. You can see that you have, module 2. Then here you have the extra credit assignment that hopefully we have time to go through. And then here you have the page called Prepare to Retake Out of the Window. And that one, when you click on that, it'll take you to the links to the trainings. You can also go back all the way to your module weeks 2 and 3 or whatever and pick up those practice exams if you want. But if you go click on, this mouse kills me. But if you actually click on these two, you will be retaking the exam. So don't start them like any exam, whichever one you choose to do, until you're ready to do it and not submit, because these are them. These are the exams. Okay. So yeah, so that's it for the exam. Again, at home, open book and whatnot. Just you have between right now, they're open as of right now until next week, next Tuesday. And then what happens next Tuesday, and now we can go over here, is that next Tuesday you'll be submitting PowerPoint module 2, and then you will be able to start as of next Tuesday taking the final exams. One for Access, one for PowerPoint. These final exams are going to be exactly like before. They are hands-on, okay, like skill-based training like Excel and Word. Do this, do that. So you know the drill. Go to the trainings, do the trainings for both modules. So 2 trainings for PowerPoint and 1 training for Access, which you've already done for a grade. So that one I made you do already. You can do it again. And then the 2 trainings, so it's 3 trainings you need to run through this time for this exam. Okay. And then once you're comfy and you can do the applies, then you can do practice exams, which I also have there on the, next week, you'll have the practice exams available. And then you can just go ahead and take them. You have a whole week. Any questions about the assignments, about anything? Do you need me to remind you about the assignments, about the exams? Do you need to remind you about anything? Nope. Oh, hold on. Share. Any question there? Nope. All good? All right. Okay. The last day of, so next week is December 5th, we'll be meeting. But the last day when the exams are due, you also have a bunch of extra credit assignments due that it's extra credit. You're welcome to do or not. It's up to you. I'm gonna go ahead and put them over here and share that screen with you. So next week, you will have this open up. You'll have the same end of, they're grayed out because they're not available yet, but it's the end of module projects like last time. You'll have 1 for Access and 2 for PowerPoint. And remember, these are the ones that are much, faster even than the SAMs. If anyone else did the extra credits last time. If you did them, you are aware that your grades are still not there. Remember what I said about how Cengage is overriding them. So when we're done with these, then I will set up the grades that you got before. I have them registered, but I can't put them in because each time that Cengage goes and refreshes, it overrides them and it goes back to 0 points. So once you're done with these and it's the last day, then I'll override them and I'll stop the connection, and then those grades will imply. So if you did them, for the most part, it's 5 points each. One of you got like 4 points on one, but for the most part, those of you who did it pretty much got between 4 and 5 points each. So you can count all those points for your grade to see how you're doing. Okay. So if you did 3 of them, that's 15 points. If you did 1 of them, that's 5 points or something like that. Okay. If you're trying to calculate sometimes a few points more or less, we don't have A minus, B plus. Here it's just A, B, C. So if your points are kind of right between one or the other, you might want to calculate that. Now, how do you know how you're doing? Over here in the course syllabus that's on the first page, if you click on that link, you can go into all this information, and one of the informations is how grade will be calculated. So if you click on that one, it'll take you over here, the total of 745 points, and it explains to you how they're divided. And here you have a list. If you ended up with a total of 594 points, you get a C. 597 points, you get a B. So sometimes these extra 5 or 10 points make a difference, right? So you want to just go into your grades, calculate and see. I don't like the system where it's just A, B, C, D, but that's the way the department functions. Because so between a B and a C, there's a big difference. And yet in this case, it's only a few points. So if you are like 2, 3 points away and you email me, I might be fine to override that. But if you've been doing your work and everything is good, but if you've been kind of like flaning off and not doing it, well, hey, you get the grade you get. So, consider talking to me if you need to. But the most important thing you can do is, if you're anywhere near the edge, is just do some of these extra credits. Okay. All right. So let me share again. Move this out of the way again. And, all right. Since you guys didn't watch the other recording, and I've had to share a little bit more of a few other things. Maybe I won't spend too much time with this, but another thing that you need to know about PowerPoint, of all the things that you use here, a lot of you guys will use Word and Excel, a few of you will Access, but a lot of you guys will use PowerPoint or anything similar to that. Slides is the program, Google Point, if you're a Mac person, Keynote. So the same idea is, you're probably going to have to make a presentation in your life here and there. It's just, especially here at school, you do a lot of them, but even in work, you're going to present something to someone, boom, make a presentation. So there's a big difference between, it's really important how you use your files and slides. And as a artist and photographer myself, it's really important to know that when you guys use things made by others, you're stealing if you use them. So if you go to the internet, find a nice photo, download it and put it in your presentation, that person who is making a living off of selling that stuff, you're basically, you're like, oh no, I'm this person who never steals. Well, that's stealing. because that's the way that person makes money. And there are so many ways and so many places to get things for free that there's no need for that. That's the most important thing. Now, if you're just doing it for yourself, for work, for school, there is such a thing as using something for educational license. But if there's any time, and especially we teachers can do that. And as a student, you might have the chance if it's something you're turning in a paper and never again see it. It's okay. It's not as bad as plagiarizing, but it's not good. But if you're going to be doing anything for any job, for any client, for yourself or your business, and you've actually used images that you don't have the actual rights to, then you can get sued. Photographers have all these ways now to do back tracing and find who's using their images. So just don't get into that situation because we, thousands or more dollars out or being sued or whatnot. So just don't use people's images without rights. And the rights can be either purchased or there's a lot of things that are free. So any image that comes from the Creative Commons that have public domain are really important. Basically, I can spend hours on this conversation, but I'm just trying to jump through it a little bit. See if you can find what licenses are available for that photo. And there's a way to do that with Google. If I have a minute at the end, I'll show you, but you can actually completely check your, hold on, I'm trying to make sure that this is not, stop my share because I don't think that the right thing is sharing. There's a slide over there and that was, there we go. There was a slide here that was, so I can show you even on Google, you can find out what the licenses are. But anyway, the most important thing is some people say things like, oh, well, if you modify it, you can use it. You have to do a lot of real good work before you can really use it. So copyrights, intellectual property, this is a whole long conversation. I am actually teaching an entire course starting next week. It's a total of 8 hours, 4 hours. It's 9 to 1 Mondays, the next 2 Wednesday mornings, next Wednesday and the following Wednesday. And it's free. It's a non-credit class. All about, it's called create compelling content, about using free material to make some really good stuff, how to create, how to source your images. If anyone wants to know about that, I think one of the slides has the information. You're welcome to join us. But I was hoping to have more time here. I'm not going to, if you want to read these slides a little bit more in depth, but there's like copyrights, Creative Commons, and public domain. Public domain would be something that's so old that now the person who made it has no rights to it and you can use it for free. But that's not always so, because for example, if someone has bought the rights to say the Mona Lisa, maybe you can use it for free, but maybe you have to check if you have to pay something to the Louvre to use it, because even though the person who did it died a long time ago, there's other people who bought the rights or stuff like that. So it's not necessarily because it's old that you have the rights to it. And then you as an artist, you photographers, artists who are making things can actually choose to give some things away. And so you say, oh, I'm going to give it out to the Creative Commons. People can use it for free. Or you might say, well, no, you need to pay me, or somewhere in between. There's this place called, so this is information about how to get to public domains. Public domains are the ones that, at this point, I think anything published technically before 1923 should be in the public domain, but not always. You have to look into it. But the important thing is sometimes people just want attribution. Attribution would be to say, well, this person will allow me to use this file as long as I say where it comes from and link it back to their website or something. You can't do that without their permission, though. If you just go, oh, I'm just going to use this photo and link it back to their website, no, people are making a living off of this. But if that photo has been assigned the rights to give it attribution, then you can use it for free with a little link that underneath says where this photo came from. Okay. These are all different types of rights people can give: non-commercial, no derivative, share. So I'll let you read through this. If you're interested in all of this and want to know more, as I said, I'm going to expand upon it in this other class, but there's a lot of information here that I'm just kind of running through. You always have access to the presentation, but this would be a good example of how to give attribution. You put in an image and then you put a link to where that image came from, who made that photograph, and what the license is. But in this case, this is the Creative Commons license. So if you go to this page and click on these, you'll see that by clicking on that, it'll take me to where that photo came from. This will take me to the author's page, and this will tell me to take me to the whole list citing what the rights for this image are. CC means Creative Commons. Creative Commons means it's been given the right to be used for anything you want, right? So anyway, here I have a whole link to a whole article on the best practices for attribution. So if you really care about it, go here and find out. If you're never going to do this, you're only doing for school, forget about it. But if you really mean to do this stuff, please, for any, even by the way, if your employer, you know, you're working for someone and they say, hey, make this presentation and use these photos, you can still get in trouble even though the employer told you to do it. So it's up to you, because you made the presentation, to look this information up and tell your employer, well, there's no rights to this image. If you want this photo, can you buy the rights, or can we use something similar, right? Because you're still the one who's doing it, and they'll get in trouble too, but you'll get in trouble too for you know, doing it. So these are all sites with amazing photos, completely free. Photos, video, here, let me go. This is it, I'm done with this, but Pixabay.com. Stunning royalty-free images and royalty-free stock. Not all of them. Some of them are free, some are not. But you have photos, illustrations, vector files, illustrations, videos, music, sound effects, animations. I guess we're in Thanksgiving mode, and so this is what shows up here. But all of this that you're seeing here, free. Why do you need to go steal, right? You go ahead here and you put, I don't know, search Pixabay, and I don't know, what do you want me to find? Say something.
The green.
No. So the Grinch, perfect. No. What's the Grinch? The Grinch is a definitely copyrighted image by Disney. You cannot use, even say that you use this photo and you print it and a Christmas decorations and you sell it at a artisan fair, at a crafts fair. Guess what? Disney scrolls through all of that stuff. eBay, they see one of their images, well, this would be Dr. Seuss, and they pounce on you. They tear down your entire business. Do not even try to, any of the Disney images, forget it. Grinch, these guys do not. At most, you might be able to do something like that, you know, which is kind of imitating the Grinch, but no, that's a good example of not.
But the thing is, it's still available on the site, so you need to know better.
What you need to know better, but also if you try to click on this one, say that I click on this one, and try to use it. So over here it says downloads. Over here, it'll give you an idea of what the rights are and free for use under the Pixabay content license. When you click on the content license, it's going to tell you what can you do with this, what are you not allowed to do, and whatnot. So basically what this says is you can only use this image. I'm just going to paraphrase it to you. This one, if you use it for personal purposes. Personal purposes does not mean that you're going to sell it even to your best friend. You can not even, sometimes you can even gift it, but not, you know, who's going to know? If you gifted one sweater where you printed out the Grinch, no one's going to know. But if you tried to commercialize it in any which way, so say you print it for your son's birthday party, 20 invitations, you know, you're not making money off of it. It's a personal use. It's not ideal, but nothing's going to happen. But if you actually try to do anything for in a business and you put the Grinch for your holiday greeting, because you're greeting those customers in order to keep them as your customers. You make money off of your customers. So that's considered a commercial use. Does that make sense? So anyway, be careful of that. Okay. That said, if you go look for, I don't know, let me back out. That was an illustration. Say that I look for, I don't know, Dalmatians, just photos of Dalmatians, then there you go. There's bazillions of these that you can use of all types and kinds, right? So there's like not, when,
So do we have to pay for some of these?
no,
No.
these are free.
Okay.
So say that I do want, some of them might have different rights than others, but for the most part, they're free. Say that you fall in love with this one and you want to use it. You click on it. And I said I wouldn't spend too much time, but you can just download it. And you can decide what size. In that class, I spent a lot of time teaching. In fact, today I spent a lot of time teaching resolution. Anyway, you download it, you use it, and you see who made it. So over here, this is the person who made it. And these are other photos that this person made, and they've offered, of all their photos, they've offered these for free. Ideally, you like them, and then you go back and you maybe hire them or buy more of their images, but the ones that they offer for free are these, right? So that's kind of what it's all about. Okay. All right. That's just one example of many. Since there are some questions, I'm going to show you one more. If you go to Google, right, and you say Google Images, for example, there's and you click on Google Images, which is a Google that only searches images, and so you say, let's say Dalmatians again. Oh, I'm into Dalmatians right now. When you see photos of Dalmatians, a lot of people go to this and then they go, oh, yeah, here, I like this photo. Let me download it. Guess what? That's not free. That belongs to Britannica or to A to Z Animals or to Daily Paws. Someone paid or not for this. So the only way on Google to find out if you can use their photos, you go over here to where it says tools. And you go over here to usage rights. And you say, well, I want, for example, Creative Commons licenses, which remember, Creative Commons is everyone can use them. Then that search gives you, they're free. And if you look at the names, there's not businesses anymore. It's PicPic, licensable, royalty-free images. This is as it is licensed. Stock Vault. Stock Vault is another one of the ones. Flickr, Wikimedia Commons, DeviantArt. There's a lot of these that you'll discover. Pixabay should be here, Pix here. These are a lot of those free vectors. A lot of those sites that have these are the sites that are actually offering these things for free. So anyway, so say that, for example, I go to this PicPic and I click on it. I've never gone to PicPic, but here it is. It's a site that has royalty-free photos. You still need to explore each one of these because you want to make sure that this is an honest site. I have never gone to PicPic. So if you go to this one before you download anything, make sure that this is a site. You know, I'm going to go and check out the site. This one doesn't look like a very good site. PicPic, royalty-free photos. You want to research it a bit to see how honest it is because, you know, when you download photos, you get viruses and stuff like that. So you want to do a little bit of research if it's not one of the big names. I haven't heard about PicPic, doesn't mean there's good stuff everywhere. Anyway, you can look at their terms of service, their royalty information, what's commercial use, brand awareness, model release, attribution. Basically all the words I've been saying, all these sites tell you what their photos do and mean. So there's no need to go to, say, National Geographic and try to steal one of their photos because there's so many good photos out there that are free. All right. Back. These are some examples of good ones. Get this out of the way. Oh, and this is the information of the class. If someone is free 9 to 1, December 6th and December 26th, and you're interested in learning this stuff in depth, but also how to create a whole project, how to consider the branding and that whole thing. Take this, sign up for this one, and it's happening at the Wake Center in Goleta, the Wake Center, that campus in room 3. Yeah, it's a good one. All right, so it's called Create Compelling Content. All right. PowerPoint module 2. That's just me on my high horse because as an art, I mean, a lot of my friends are photographers or whatever, and you can't imagine how much time they spend tracing people who take their photos and use them. They think with impunity. But this is not impunity. This is their job. They're an artist and they need to pay their rent, just like we all need to pay their rent. So hopefully now you've learned to not do that or to at least look through it. Okay, module 2. We're going to be doing a few of the things that I kind of showed you how not to do. So we're going to be doing searching and downloading for different themes. We'll talk a little bit about themes. Inserting hyperlinks. Hyperlinks would be kind of what I did here, that you click on something and it takes you somewhere. There's something called SmartArt. And we're gonna work a little bit with SmartArt and know how to edit. By the way, SmartArt is now you're learning it in PowerPoint, but it also exists in Word and in Excel, as much as the text effects that you got the first time, they exist also in Excel and in PowerPoint, you know, so all of these things kind of work across the board. Inserting and resizing a shape correctly instead of the way they ask you to do it here, and applying effects. Effects are those things that you just saw me booming things around and jumping, and also doing transitions, applying shape styles, pictures. So it's a lot about images today. This using grids, guides, and rollers and stuff like that to move things around, merging shapes, footers, and stuff like that. So that's today. And I'm going to show you, as usual, just a few of the salient points. A lot of stuff you can just, as you did before, learn from the book. But there's some things that you want to do better. And that's what I'm going to show you today. And as a final curtain, just a repetition of what's due next week. The cropping and resizing, we'll practice a little bit of what we do today. And then the rest of this is, and the last one is just the exams, okay? And any questions before we begin to work on PowerPoint? Nope. All right, so then here we go. Make sure that you're seeing this page. All right. So let's head over to Open Canvas and head over to the weekly presentations and class recordings, because I have some files that I need you to download for us to do a little bit of work. Leave student view because I can't do much in student view. And over here, we have today's presentation, the one I just showed you. You'll have the recording when it's done. And then here I have these two class files. Please download these two class files. So let's click on this little down arrow and that little down arrow. And we're going to do a little bit of work with that. Okay, so that's opening it up inside of like that mode. Just go back and then click on the arrow to download it instead. So go back to the class presentations, yeah. And instead of clicking on the link itself, just see there's a little arrow next to it. That'll download it on the arrow. And it downloads it. See that again, opened it and did it again? Yeah. Oh, close that and head back there. Like this. That arrow. Yeah. All right. So once you've downloaded those two, I'm gonna head over to my actually, I'm gonna go ahead and reshare my whole page so you can see the things. So I went into my Explorer, File Explorer, I go to my downloads, and here are the two files that I just downloaded. Bees Practice and SmartArt and Shapes. So let's head over for a second to Bees Practice. Let's just double click that one and open it up. And here we are. Enable editing. So there's 4 slides here, completely undesigned, you know, messy, just stuff is on it. There's no transitions, no particular excitement to it. One thing I want to tell you that you're not going to do, but that exists now if you have one of the newer versions of PowerPoint or 365 PowerPoint, just to show you really quickly, because beyond anything else I'm going to show you, this is pretty cool. You're gonna go to the design here. Is it under the design or, hold on, home? Oh, come now. Don't tell me that this version doesn't have it. What version of, oh, this is 2019. Oh, man. This is 2019, it's not 365. If you guys have 365 and you go to the design tab, oh, I don't have my personal computer here to show you. This is 2019 and it doesn't have it, but if you guys have 365, here in the design tab, there's a thing called the, oh man, I can't show you that. That's a bummer. There's a new tool that you click on that and it opens a table here and it will look at the slide and give you like 20 versions of how to make it look good. It'll like redesign it. You've used that, yeah?
Is it the design makeover? I can't remember what. With the little.
Yeah, designer. You click on the designer and it'll generate design ideas. So it's not in this mode that I have, but if you have 365 over here, you'll see a word. It's called designer. It's a little link under the design tab. You click on it and it'll generate, it's AI generator, artificial intelligence, and it'll just come up with a bunch, and you know, you're not on Zoom, but it just gives you a whole bunch of possibilities or choices for something as crude as this first page is.
Do you want me to connect and share?
Yeah, I can. Or does anyone at home have this that they can share since you're already on Zoom? Is anyone who's at home notice that you have a designer tab here?
Yeah, I have it because I'm on the Works Cloud newest
Okay, do you want to share that for a second?
PowerPoint.
Because it's just for people to get.
Yes.
Because not all of us are designers, not all of you are ever gonna be designers, and yet there's all
Oh,
these ways to make
just a
things look
moment, please.
good. I've stopped my share, so you can go ahead and share whenever you can. But yeah, the ones here at school are the 2019, which is exactly the one that this book is made to be, so this didn't exist at that time. All right, so here's what she's talking about under the design tab. If you click on this designer, just click on the designer icon.
I
And
did.
see over here on the, well, it's just that this is a template, so there's not much to it. Do you have the file that I just showed you
I have to go.
or any other file? So you're not gonna see it so cool because the whole point about this template is that it's already kind of designed. So when you go to this designer, nothing much different is happening. It's just showing you different like layouts. But if you
Let me go to the find me the bees and then I'll share.
Yeah, just
again.
because this isn't really such an ooh-ah example, because as you can see, there's not much, it's just giving you samples, but yeah, go ahead and when you have a second,
Yeah.
and find it, go ahead and open it there, because with any of these pages that you have here, that are just basically a piece of text and a photo, it just comes up with ideas. And no, you're not going to use that for these assignments, but I have a feeling that in real life, you'll probably use that quite a bit. So until she's ready, tell me when you're ready. I'm going to share my screen again until you're ready, okay?
Yes.
And when you're ready, let me know. Okay, so right now, what we have here is a bunch of just, you know, stuff. On top of this one is even covering the text and stuff like that. So let me show you a little bit about cropping and resizing and effects and all the kind of stuff that we're going to apply, styles and shapes and that kind of thing, until Susie downloads it and comes up. All right, so we're basically on the home tab is where we start. We're in general going to be starting on the home tab. And if you notice, if I go play this, if I just like share this, share, is this still sharing now that I did my entire screen? No, I need to share my entire window. Here we go. Okay, so if I go to play this as a PowerPoint, every time I move forward to the next slide, it's going to just jump to the next slide. Boom, 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 until you're done the fourth one. So just remind me, did you do transitions yet in the first one? Okay. So that little curtain that went back and forth is a very obnoxious, but an example of transitions, it's transitioning from slide to slide. When you go from one slide to another, you can apply transitions. On the other hand, a different thing is animation. So here this tab is transitions and this is animations. Animations is movement within the elements of the slide. That's when you saw the little eyeballs that, you know, were shining, or the text that went up and down. Those are animations of the objects within the page versus transitioning gracefully from slide to slide. So the easiest thing to teach you right now is transitions. So let's go ahead and don't start with the first one. Go to like the third slide. Select the third slide, because a transition is best done when you have something to come from and to go to, right? So if you start with the first one, there's nothing to come from. So let's just say that we are coming from this one. Remember, these don't have any look or feel or design yet. But that said, if we want to have this be slightly more graceful, we can go over here to transitions. And remember, it's all about the slide, not the individual bits and pieces. And I'm going to test a few possible transitions. So watch. Over here, if you look at this whole set of transitions, and I'm going to expand them to see all the ones, there's the subtle transitions, exciting transitions, or dynamic content. There's 3 types. I, of course, being a minimalist, what I like are the subtle transitions. So right now the default is none. If I click morph, that's a possible transition. And it's given me an example of going from that one to this one. Fade is the one that I prefer. It's showing me how it's going to fade from one to the other. But if you want to see it working at the right time, you can hit this little button here that says preview, and then you can run through it again. Now notice that this is still a very pretty abrupt transition. You can modify. This is just showing you how it's going to work, but you can still modify each one of those effects. Let me go through a few more effects and then we'll work on modifying. Push, it's going to go from one to the next. Wipe, split, it opens from the middle, etc., etc. Now, uncover, flash, right? So these are all technically the simple ones. Fall over, boink, oink, 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 okay? Those are still technically the simple ones. Let me, before we modify any of these, take you to the ones that are kind of like intense. This one's fun, even though it's intense. Watch. Airplane. Doom. Make a little airplane out of it and shoom, there you go. Origami. So if you thought that the curtains were a big deal, can you imagine if in the middle of your thing, you do one of these? So this one's they're relatively interesting. Peel off, page curl. But the ones that are really, really buggy, that are, if you have to sit and wait for like this one to happen, for example. Right? Boink. And on top of that, it takes a long time. Or glitter. As you can see, there's a lot of funky stuff going on here. So be careful. And if you're ever going to use any of these, be really, really sparse. I actually don't mind the cube too much. It kind of, sometimes this is relatively interesting. Or, you know, depending on what you're doing, a switch or a flip is okay. Now this has a lot of white, so it doesn't look so good. So some of these are still okay. All right. Now, dynamic content, conveyor, it just kind of moves it around. So some of these are okay. You need to decide. Now, notice that each one of these that I'm clicking on, I'm going to go all the way back to the simpler ones. I'm going to go to this push one, for example. Push. Notice that the arrow here is showing that it's going from up, you know, it's kind of, the arrow is showing that, and then just kind of think about it. That's the one that's coming. Now I can select an option. When I select an option, notice that there's a little star right there. That little star means that I've applied a transition to this one, but only to this one. The rest don't have a transition. This slide has a transition, and it has the push transition. Now, if instead of this, I would rather it push down, I can go over here to the effect options, and I go, well, instead of from the bottom, I would like it to push from the top. and now it goes in the other direction. Or I would want it to go from the left or from the right. Some transitions have a lot of options, others don't. If you do a fade, it's just gonna fade, either back and forth, or at most it can go to black and then fade, right? But unless you have a real reason to do that effect. So some have a ton of options like that one, and some do not. If I do cover, again, you can go here, look at all the choices. You can cover from bottom left, oink, or top right. Okay, so this is how you modify. I know, little sounds. My husband always jokes about that because I'm always making little noises. Anyway, so you can play around with these, but most importantly, when you find one that you like, then you can modify how long it takes. Because if this is a fade that happens too fast or too slow, you can change them over here. So say that I want to do, let me go back to a push, but I want it to go slower, then the duration of this, 1 second, I can go ahead and say, well, make it last, don't do this to people, but make it last 3 seconds. So then I test it, preview, and it takes 1, 2, 3, right? Or maybe it's the other way around. You want it to happen even faster. You want to make it in a split bit of a second. So you go 1/4 of a second, boom, boom, okay? So you can modify how long you want it to last. The default for each one of these is different. The default for this one was 1 second. And this is how you test it. Now, when you test it, it doesn't give you the full effect because you're not really presenting it, but it gives you an idea. So if I really want to see what's happening here, I'm going to go ahead and run it. So I'm going to sit at my slide that's previous. Make sure I'm sharing the entire window. Yes, I am, not just this one page. Okay. And then I'm going to test it. I'm going to go ahead and click on this little icon here to make it run, right? And this is the one that's prior to the transition. And when I click here to go to the next one, it shows me what it's really going to be like. Okay, so I'm going to go backwards and forwards, backwards and forwards. The others don't have it. So the next are not going to have it. It's only that one that has that transition. And hit escape. So now say that I loved it. Oh, that's exactly what I want. And I want ideally to apply this to everything the same one and only modify them when necessary. Then there's an easy button for that. You can go and say apply to all. Boom. And notice that when you say, oh, I have to be on the one that has the transition. Say that the one I chose was push. That's the one that I wanted for 1 second. Now I can apply it to all. And see how suddenly I have little stars everywhere? All those stars just appeared when I hit the apply to all. Now I'm going to go to the first one. I'm going to prepare it. And then each one of these is going to have the same true effect, right? This is a pretty big effect, but if you do it consistently, it kind of becomes transparent and it doesn't bug you too much. My favorite one, which is fade, doesn't really work well when you have so much white. In fact, I'm going to now select fade. I'm going to apply to all. That means all of them have changed. And now I'm going to test that one. And the problem with the fade is that the white makes things appear kind of like jerky. If this was all image and image and image, then the fade's pretty cool because images fade one into the other. So let's assume that maybe this photo is that big and this photo is that big. I'm just kind of inventing, and I distorted it. Don't do that. And then this one is this big and this one is that big. Then fill in the screen, then actually the transitions of fade is actually a little bit prettier. See how it kind of fades color one into the other. It's just gentler versus if I apply one of these intense ones and then I say apply to all, when I run it, then it becomes, hold on, I'm back. I need to go. There we go. It's not terribly bad because if we're doing bees and we're doing honeycombs, I don't know, maybe it works, but for the most part, you kind of want to avoid the complicated ones. All right. Now, the last thing that matters here, I'm gonna go back to the basic fade and I'm gonna apply it to all. But last thing that matters here is two that I recommend almost never doing. You could apply sound. You could have it be, I'm gonna say applause. Apply to all. So now when I run it, okay, got it. Now you can make a sound that's a little bit better. Applied to all, but still sounds
Breeze.
a little breeze. Yeah, I don't think there's any ever reason to do this. The only time I've seen them used correctly is say that you have like, you're talking about a photographer taking pictures. So there's a click sound, right? And so you choose click, for example, and on the moment that they're saying, and so these are the 4 shots I took, and they go shoot, shoot, shoot. Oh, I didn't apply it to all of them. Then it might, I didn't apply it to all. It might make sense, you know what I mean? But for the most part, I would just say no sound everywhere. I'm gonna select them all, click on one, hold down the shift, select other, and make sure that you apply no sound to all of them, and then now we're safe from that. So another way to apply things to everything is to do that. Select one, shift, select the bottom, you have all slides selected, and now you can just say, make them fall over, right? And so now if you go run it, then all of them are gonna fall over, okay? Because you've applied it. If you don't do the applied to all, you fall over. So why would this work? Because sometimes you might have sections where for this section, you want them to fall over. For the next section, you want them to move to the left for the next section. So you can do it. I just like a very simple transition among all of them. But if you go by sections, you're welcome to do that kind of stuff. The only other thing about transitions that I want to show you is that up until now, we've advanced the slide on mouse click. Yeah, when I select and run it, nothing is going to transition until I'm talking, time to show you the next one. I click my mouse, boom, then the next transition happens. That's what on mouse click means. Maybe I talk for 5 minutes on this one, or maybe I talk for 2 seconds, click my mouse, it transitions again. Versus if I have it running on its own, I could tell it to transition after 1 second and apply that to all. Let me make sure that I apply that to all over here. And then when I run it, I'm just kind of talking to you guys, and out of the blue, after a second, it just, my hands are up here. I'm kind of like, look, Ma, no hands. It's just running on its own. You would only want to do that if it's one of those self-running presentations. Perfect example would be, have you ever gone to a wedding, for example, where there's the slideshow of the bride when she was a baby, the groom when they were a baby, and then they slowly at some point they meet, and then like and then the end. So that's gonna run on the back on a wall or somewhere for 3 hours. So you're just gonna give it a certain amount of time, maybe in rhythm to the music or something, and then it just sits there running, right? But it's very hard to have a timed presentation where you're trying to speak to it, because sometimes you might stutter, you might go faster, you might go lower. So for the most part, you probably won't be doing much of that. You'll probably be defaulting to on mouse click. Okay. Right, that's about all there is to know about these. Different things have different options and some do not. All these really fancy ones, they just do not have options because they're already so fancy. There's, nothing you can change. Okay. This one might have in which direction you go, but for the most part, the simpler they are, the more options they have. All right. Hopefully you've all been playing around with it and trying them. Have you? Looks like you're just looking at me. Go ahead and try a few of them and then ask me if you have any questions about them. Susie, have you been able to find I don't know when Chase tried to join us, that I just noticed that he was.
I didn't want to interrupt you. I was writing. I cannot find this project.
Do you have any presentation?
Where's it in Cengage?
It's okay. Actually, Paola, you said you could connect maybe?
Sure.
Yeah, Paola has her computer here. She can connect. I just want to give you that example. Chase, sorry, how long did I have you waiting there? I was talking. I didn't notice you were there. Were you there?
Oh
for-
yeah, funny story. My Wi-Fi decided to crash again, so I was off for like 10 minutes, like
I
3
just got my
times.
share and then I saw you there going, hello, hello.
Yeah, no, that was not on purpose. I was like,
Right.
oh yeah, no, I had to go back upstairs and restart it, and like it was just like it
God.
crashing, and then it was able to come back, and it's like and then crashing, like it's like, so if I leave, that's not me this time. So
That's fine. Well, I just was showing transitions, which basically it's relatively simple. You have many options, but they are what they are.
yeah, no,
all
the
right.
Wi-Fi just
Letting Paola in. And then Paola is going to share the new version of PowerPoint. And there you go. Don't put sound, Paola, so that
Yeah,
we don't clash. And there you go. And now let's do a share. That one. Yeah, so she's showing, she's got the 365. So you might want to just go do that one. So that you can see.
Yeah, you
Click on
can
that little dash.
You
Oh,
can, yeah.
oh, I forget that this is that. Okay. Okay, so now go to the design tab. And click on design. Good. And see, put your mouse over this. See this thing right there? The designer. You have to select this. Slide. Okay, when you click on that right there, the designer, this thing opens up, which gives you, it's like artificial intelligence generating different options or choices for how to design this page, which you might like or not, but it, there's only probably hopefully better than what's there. So click on one of them, whichever, and see how it applies that design to the page, or now click on another one. On the bottom. Okay, so that is new. That's not in the 2019, but it might help you. Go ahead and do another one. Go to the next slide there, and then check on that. And again, it's trying to give you things that hopefully match, because if the first one had all those broken, like torn paper, or whatever, you might want to choose one that also has like kind of a good torn paper choice. So, and if you decide that you don't like the torn paper, then you go back and you maybe change it top to bottom to a different look that works. I'm not saying that that's a great design, but it's many times when you have no idea how to start, it's not a bad way to go. Okay. Hope those of you who have Office 365 will have that option there. 2019, which is what we have in the VDI, doesn't have it because it didn't exist at that point. All right, cool. Thank you so much. I'm going to stop your share, but that's awesome. And there's more of these things that now 365 has that the old version doesn't have. For the most part, they're that kind of thing, little extras, but not necessarily necessary, just fun or helpful, right? All right. Okay. Did you all try to do a transition or two? Any questions? Nope. Nope, maybe yes, or nah, didn't bother. All right, that's transitions. Now I'm going to go ahead and give you a little primer on animations, which imagine transitions only on steroids. I'm gonna go ahead and go to animations. It's very similar, the panel is very similar, but notice that nothing right now is dark or black or a choice because I don't have any particular element selected. Remember, transitions is effects from slide to slide. Animations is effects from the elements within the slide. So I'm going to go ahead and select this B. And the moment I select this B, suddenly I have all these possible choices that come to life. When I had nothing selected, nah, it's all kind of grayed out and dead. So when I select a B, now I can change what it does. And I can try over here. I can say, well, I want the bee to fly in. Boom, it flew in. And I'm going to preview. Now, maybe a bee effect options might want to come in from top left or, top right. Boom. So the bee flies in from top right or from bottom right. All right. Does that make sense? So that's that one element. Now, there's not many other, what's that?
I speed it.
And you can spin it, you can do all this, you can grow and turn, whee, you can zoom it, you can swivel the little bee. Now, in the case of the bee, there's one that's pretty cool, and again, there's all these different choices. There's entrance, emphasis, or exit, right? So if you're leaving, you can have, you're leaving this slide before you transition, you have the bee flitter away, and then you transition to the next slide. So in this case, what I could do is I could apply flying in of some kind, right? And let me have it fly in from top left, for example. It flies in, then it sits here, right? And then what I can do is apply another transition. So I'm going to turn this animation pane right here. And an animation pane is going to give me choices. So I could say that I want to apply that animation first, but then maybe I want to add another animation. So I might go over here. Let me see. Do I have many selected? No. Then I might want to add another animation to this thing, which is add animation. And now I want to give it an exit where it's going to fly out, and I'm going to have it fly out to bottom right. So now I've applied two animations to the same bee. So now when I run, and the important thing would be that they're going to happen, and this is the on click matters, because the first animation happens with the previous. What does this previous mean? It happens when the previous action is going to happen. The previous action would be the transition, right? Let me put this B actually, I'm going to put this B also on page 2 so that you can have a transition more, because actually on page 1, there's no transition in. So I gave it an entrance and an exit. So if I click on this, it's going to go in and then out, right? But if I leave it, the second one on click, then when I go and run this one, when I run this example, this slide, then when I come in, it flies in, and then it flies out. Or in this case, I didn't mean, I wanted it to, the first one was supposed to be with previous, and the second one was supposed to be on click, but I have it on, I think I left the transition where it's going after a few seconds, and that's the problem. Let me take that transition off. Only on mouse click and fade. Okay. Apply to all. So let me make sure now. So now when I click, it comes in. Let me actually change this. Not transition out. Timing is, I need to take the timing off. Sure. So it comes in, you talk about bees, and then before you're going to move to the next one, when you click, it leaves, and then it moves on to the next one. Does that make sense? So it's basically the same animation, but you choose when it happens. That's an entrance and an exit kind of animation. But then let me get this same bee here. I'm going to copy and paste. I'm going to put it over here. And there's another, I'm going to delete these two. I'm going to select this one and hit I'm just going to remove that one and remove this one. So this bee now, I'm going to give it a different kind of animation effect, which is kind of cute. Oh, that's the transition, which is one of these where I get to like make a custom path for this bee. So I'm going to click on this custom path, and then I'm going to, hold on, I'm going to just, hold on, let me just do it again. I'm going to select the custom path, and I'm going to, let me just delete that again because, okay, I'm going to choose this one, and I'm going to draw a little path. So I've drawn a line that you can barely see right now because of how this is don't know if you saw it, this is green underneath, so let me move this out of the way, but I drew that little line right there. So that animation, I'm gonna have it take a little bit longer. And then I'm gonna play it. And it's gonna just go wee, wee, wee. That was see what I mean? I drew that line. And that's not the most beautiful of lines, but that's the custom animation. You can play around with animation. So as I said, this is easy to do, which means you can do too much, okay? Because you can make things blink and flitter and shine. But now and then, it might not be a bad idea to have a bee fly in and fly out if you're telling little kids how to take care of the honeybees that need to be saved, so there's situations when it's a good idea. Anyway, that's it. That's what you do with animations. You select an object, an element, and you do stuff with it. Okay. We don't have much more than this bee here as an element, and so that's all I'm doing, but I can have it bounce. Wee, wee, wee. Boing, 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 boing. So if you have a ball, anyway. However fun it is, just be careful with, and you can have it stop right on the flower, right? And so then if it stops right on the flower and you say play, and maybe that's where you put the flower, whatever. Now this is a bad example because this is exactly the photo that has a bee on it, but if it had been on this one and I have to go and stop right there, that would have worked. All right, so everyone try one animation, do something fun, make it work, put 1 or 2 animations on it, because until you make it happen, you won't see what does or doesn't work. Okay, if anyone comes up with an animation that they want to share or do, please share your animation. I saw Paola laughing here, having some fun with it. I just caution you to do it when it makes a difference and when it's a good idea, not just because you can. Walk around between you guys. Those of you at home, please make the little transition, a little animation. You can have 2 little bees come and meet each other in the middle. Obviously, I'm running out of ideas here. You can flip it and then have one coming from one side. Any questions from home? Hopefully you guys at home are also playing around like the 3 women here, focusing on the bee. I didn't have time to put up an example with more objects, but yeah. Now, in fact, the one that I said that the worst presentation ever, don't do that. This is the page that had all those, I'm not sharing it, that thing, that now you know what that was, right? This is glitter and shine and move and click, and that's what these things are, little animations, okay? And this one too. Remember that I said, so this is for text, I haven't shown you yet, but for text you can have text appear, the paragraphs can appear flying in, bouncing in, now you recognize, jumping in, coming in from the bottom right, coming in from the top right, flipping, those are all the same thing that here would make the bee spin, right? If you make the bee spin over here, then that's what made those letters spin. Okay, so if I go here and I write, I think this already had some text somewhere, and I've got this image. So if I tell the bee stings text here, I'm gonna move it over here. And if I go over here and I give it an animation for it to swivel, then there it is. The text is swiveling, okay? Or spin. Whee! Pulse, grow and shrink. All right, is it working? You all saw how it works? Okay. use it with caution, but have some fun with it because sometimes it's a good idea. All right, I'm bringing I'm gonna go ahead and close this one and not save anything. I know, it is kind of fun. It is kind of fun. I'm opening it again because I've made so many changes that my images aren't workable anymore, but now I'm putting it here again. Now, this is kind of how the images started before I filled the screens. Let's do a little bit of working with images as far as what we can do with it. Photos. So let's work on this first one, this photo. Remember that I showed you that if you grab any of these corners and click and drag, you are basically moving this thing out of proportion. Now, sometimes you might not notice if you just make it a little bit bigger, a little bit smaller, who's going to tell? Well, yeah, if it's an anonymous bee, maybe no one's going to tell, but if it's your daughter's face or your own face, I'm sure that you're going to notice if you've gone a little bit too wide or a little bit too skinny, right? You look at this image and you're like, oh, wait a minute, I'm not that big, you know, something like that. So how to make this proportional? If you hold the corner and go in and out, then it stays proportional. Okay, so any of the corners, keep this proportional. Versus if you go to the sides, it will not be proportional. So if you do mess up, you need to undo. So Control or Command Z undoes that. And don't ever stretch and then try to put it back, because you'll never figure out how to put it back. If you stretch it out of proportion, undo it to bring it back to its full size. Now, did you already have to insert an image or something like that and give it a size? You already had to do that? Yeah. So if you double click an image, then over here you have a size. So it's possible for you to go over here and look at the size 397 by 595, mess it up, and then go, oh yeah, I remember that this was 595. But the reality is we don't do that. We don't look at these numbers. So basically, if you distort it, just undo to undistort it. Okay. Now, what this little arrow over here points to is the fact that I can swivel this around. So that's that little guy over there. I'm going to undo it again. It's easier to do it with a bee. So that's this little guy right there where I can make the bee kind of float one way or the other and it still works and looks good. The problem when you do it to a photo and you swivel it, it's kind of hard to know how to make it go back to be straight. So one thing that you can do, because you never know kind of where to stop, is if you hold the Shift key while you're doing that, it kind of forces it to go ding, 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 and it kind of jumps 35 degrees, 45 degrees. This is with the Shift key, and then it'll give you back that moment that it's perfect. Otherwise, if you move it around, it's kind of hard to give it exactly the right rotation again to know when to stop. So hold on the Shift key, and then you can kind of do that, and then it jumps back into the alignment. Okay, so that's just swiveling things around. The one that is the hardest, that's important, is if you want to crop. Say you want to crop out the flower and want to leave only the bee, right? Or in this one, you want to crop out all the purple one. I mean, I don't see why you would, but in this case, for example, this is a crop in photo of this bee. What if you wanted to do it with this one? This is only making things bigger and smaller, but the entire image is getting bigger and smaller. So if you want to crop into that, if you double click, then you can click here on the word crop. And you crop it. And when you say that you're going to crop it, now see these little like picture kind of corners, these little black things that show up. It's very easy to grab the round ones again. That's not going to work. That's not cropping it. Okay. You need to grab these square boxes. So your mouse has to turn into that shape. So if I go over here and it turns into that little black shape, that's when I can click and drag. And now I'm actually cropping. See how this is going gray? Or I can go one of these corners and do like that. Come here to the bottom and do like that. And now I'm actually, now I can also say, I don't like where it's centered. You can now move it around a bit to center it better. But that is giving you an option to crop, and we're ignoring the rest of the flower. Now we're not resizing. When you're done and you like what you see, what's going to be left is there. Now you can just click somewhere out of the way And there it is, there's your cropped image. Now, say you look at it and you go, that wasn't a very good crop. Well, it's good. Double click on it again. And the good news is go back to crop and you can just undo that. You can say, I wanted a little bit more yellow, or I wanted a little bit more of this part, and then click away again. So you can keep cropping again and again. Notice that nothing is getting bigger or smaller. It's just getting cropped. Okay. So you can do that all you want until you're happy with.
Sort of effect where you like cut it out.
I'm going to show you, there's a few effects. It's not perfect. There's other tools that I can teach you in that class that you guys can come and take. I'm going to teach you more about other tools, but there are some things I'm going to show you right now. So say that that's where you're happy with. It's a, what we call a non-destructive modification in graphic terms, because the photo is always going to be there. It's not like it's been cut out. You can just go back and undo that and change it. It's still there. Okay. Now, if at this point you make it smaller or bigger, you are at this point then modifying it as far as size. But if you want to crop it again, yeah, that photo is all still there, only smaller. Okay. Any questions, you guys at home? Everyone's very quiet. Anything to say or do? Nope. All right. Before I go on to your question, Susan, let me show you something else. When I want to locate this in a place on screen, notice these little pink things that have been flying around. When I move this, suddenly you see those lines that just kind of appear or disappear when I'm moving around. Those lines are called smart guides, and they're helping me connect in one way or another to something. Let me bring another one of these photos in. I'm going to copy that one and paste it here so I can have two photos in here. And move the little B out of the way for a second. Put it out here. If I have these two photos, you can duplicate the same one, the first one. Sometimes it's hard to know when you're putting one over here and one over here to make sure that you're putting on the right exact size. But see, if I have them here, that line is helping me tell me that those two lines on the top are now aligned. That said, if you look at my bottom, they're not aligned at the bottom. So now if I align to the bottom, then the top is not aligned. But this would also help me then to grab this corner and make it bigger so that now I have, just with those lines, aligned them both to be exactly the same size. Does that make sense? And now you can select, click, shift, click to select both of them and move them around. And you're moving them knowing that they're well aligned. To move both?
I missed that part, how they get.
To move both, yeah. So if you want to do two same things at a time, you select one, you hold the shift key and you select the other. Now you've got two selected. If I hold the shift key and select the third, now I have all three moving at the same time. Anytime you use the shift key, you select more than one thing. So I don't know if you noticed at one point I selected two slides in a row. I held the first one, I held the shift, and I select the second or the third. So for three of these, I applied something to all of them. If you click the first one, hold on the shift and click the last one, then you select everything in between. But you guys saw a little bit of this in Excel. Remember when you had to choose different columns? If I wanted to choose only the first one and the fourth one, who remembers what should I do? Yeah, Control gives me only the first and the fourth. But Shift gives me everything that's in between. Okay, so Control or Command in the case of a Mac is when you want to just do individual non-contiguous shapes or columns in Excel or paragraphs in Word or slides in PowerPoint. See, it all kind of carries itself. And over here, you just click Shift on anything else you want, and now you're moving the two that you wanted to move together. Now, the guides, the smart guides that I said, oops, over there, let me move out this student name portion. I'm going to select this whole box and get rid of it. Just have text here. It helped me just align them and give them the right size because here, I move these things out of the way. So I'm just put text over here for a minute. These things out of the way, and this will be out of the way. So again, having guides helps me. Those are the smart guides that appear just on their own, just because it's telling me that I have the right height. But what's happening right now? You see that long line that's appearing right now up and down? What do you think that one might be?
It's in the middle.
That's telling me that that's in the middle of the slide. Okay, so this one is touching the middle of the slide. How about if I do this? What do you think that line is? That's the horizontal middle. So all those lines appear, and if I move on and it's not in the middle anymore, it just disappears, right? But there's something else that can happen. What if I want these two to be aligned correctly, like centered at the same distance from each other? Then if I put these two here, see how it's showing me this distance there between them? Well, what if I had a third one? I'm gonna go ahead and copy and paste and make a third one and make this one be, I don't know, smaller or something. And if I have 3 of these, let me make them all a little bit smaller so I have space to put them all here. So then if I want to put this one there and then this one there, see how it told me? I just put it right there. Now I have the exact same distance between one and the other. You see that? And all I'm doing is I'm moving things around, but this is telling me, oh, you can drop it right there. And now you have, this one is aligned at the top with the other B, and sideways, it's got the same distance between here and there. And now this one is aligned with the 3 Bs, and I have the same distance down there. So without even having to do much more calculating, I know that I have these all exactly aligned. If I select all 3, oops, didn't mean to move it. If I select all 3, that'll also help me center it. No, the smart guides aren't helping me center the whole thing there. It's giving me a middle. But it's not giving me the top and bottom centers. I thought it would give me that, but it's not helped me do that, those distances, but okay. That would be in Photoshop and InDesign. So now it's out of the blue. With 2 seconds, I was able to make them look kind of aligned in one way or another just by aligning the 3 tops and having the same distance. Yeah, granted this is the same photo, but it really helps it all look like I meant it, not just random. Now, you don't have only that. You can also align things using alignment tools. So say that I mess them up again and I have nothing going on. There's some tools I can use to align them. So I'm going to select all 3 again. And then there's a tool here called alignment. And I can say align them all at the top using their top side of them. So I'm going to go click top and boom, see how they're now all aligned at the top. Now, since these were now one on top of the other, I can also say distribute them horizontally. Boom. So now it gave me the right distance between them. So this is probably what they're going to have you use. I like the smart guides because, you know, I just see them. But I think the assignments makes you use these align choices. Now I'm going to align them at the bottom. Boom. So they're aligned at the bottom. See that? I can go ahead and say align them centered. But if you align them centered, then they're one on top of the other. So what I can do is I can put one of them further down, right? Then I can select all 3. And then I can say align them, distribute them vertically. Of course, they are centered, but since they're different sizes, they're not doing that thing. So anyway, yeah, so that's just kind of a fun way to use rulers or guides. I'm looking at move an object using grids, guides, and the rules, and that's what this is all about. I'm calling them guides, but I think that's in Photoshop and Design, it's guides. I think here they call them rules. Anyway, those lines I'm talking about. Okay, cool. So that's how to see how, do you see what is pointing out to me right now? It's pointing out the fact that the left-sided one has the same distance to the left edge as my right-sided one has to the right edge. If I leave it there, then I can grab this one. And now it's told me now the middle one's centered. And now I know that I have these exactly centered. And all I did was use my pink guides. Okay. And then I can go ahead and align this one up and down. And then I'll do that one up and down. And then boom, now I have them all aligned exactly on line. Distance to each, equidistant and equidistant to the 2 edges. Okay, so I like those guides myself. All right, so merge shapes. I'm looking at other things that you might be asked to do. Okay, let's go on to another page. Let's go over here to this one. So it's just a photo. All right, Now, there's a lot we can do to modify this image. I'm gonna go ahead and, again, as usual, when you look up all the tabs, let me actually select and share only the screen, because for those of you who are watching all the extra, you don't need to see. All right, so if I select this guy here, if I want to give it borders or shapes or effects or anything that's a bit different than the basic one, the tools aren't available until I select the photo. There's no tools here that helps me modify it. I have to select it first, then the picture tools show up. I can either click on the word format here, or I can just double click the photo and then the format appears. And over here, I think you already did some picture styles the first day, right? So you can just change all these shapes and stuff like that. And the picture styles, you can add a border. Did you add a border to it?
But not for PowerPoint for Word.
You did it for Word. Okay, so this effect, that's true. You did, yeah, the flyer, you did some stuff. So that's all the same, as you can see. There's some other cool stuff over here that allows me to make some changes to a photo that are more like effects. And so at one point, Susan, you asked, can I separate the bee from the background or something like that? Well, kind of. In this case, it's going to be very hard for PowerPoint Word Office to be able to separate this bee with all of its little hairy legs from this flower. Probably not. But there is a tool, say that you have a pear on a table, something much simpler. There's a tool here called Remove Background. So I'm going to click on Remove Background, and it's going to do its best to guess. It wasn't a bad guess, but none of these photos are very good because, come on, the wings. But what it's telling you is that everything that's gone pink, it's going to remove. If you like that and you go, okay, then you just say, click, keep these changes, and there you go. Now I've got a cutout bee. Of course, as you can see, it turned out horrible. But the good news is, just like cropping, this isn't gonna live there. This is something I can undo. So I'm gonna double click it again, go back to remove, and I can start it again. I can say discard those changes, and I've got my photo again. Now, what I can do though, let me go to an image that's, I might be able to isolate the flowers here from the background. Let's try that. I'm going to double click. I'm going to say remove background. And then anything that's pink, it's going to be removed. Okay. So if I agree or don't agree, I have these two things. I have the plus or the minus here. So say that I want more things to be removed. I click on the minus. And then I'm going to say, yeah, remove this too. And I'm just kind of pointing to that and saying, now remove that too. And that's going to remove that. But then what do I tell it to keep? I'm like, I want to keep the flower. So I go to the plus sign. And now I'm going to tell keep the flower. So I'm kind of drawing along the flower. So then the flower comes back. See? And so it kind of uses a little bit of artificial intelligence, and it's doing its best to bring back anything that looks like the flower. Okay. So what I want to keep, I mark with a plus. And then when I don't want to keep, so this I want to keep, anything that's pink that I want to keep, I'm going to mark it. But then I have some background here that I didn't want. So I'm going to go back to the minus, and I'm going to just kind of line up this background until no, get rid of that, get rid of that. So I'm doing my best. It's a very basic tool. It doesn't do an amazing job, but for some things it works. So when I'm done, I'll say, okay, keep the changes, and there you go. I kind of managed to isolate that flower. Kind of, it's not perfect if you look at it close, but it's not bad. With 2 seconds, I didn't really work on it much. If you spend a bit more time choosing backgrounds and flowers, yeah, it kind of worked, right? So that's that tool. Hopefully someone there at home is excited and going, ooh, ah. I'm not sure. I'm not hearing anything from home, so I'm not sure if anyone's still
Yeah, I'm trying to be a little careful because my Zoom crashed so many times. And like if I do, I'm probably gonna lose it because of like the Wi-Fi.
yeah, it looks like
crashes.
you're having a big, yeah, so just watch and then do it without being.
I'll probably have to do it tomorrow or Thursday. Just when the Wi-Fi's
Liviana's excited. She's giving me a thumbs up. You made a little, yeah.
Oh yeah, you can
some other effects. So this is the stuff she's doing. So let me go back to, for example, this one here. And there's other stuff you can do. So double click and then there's artistic effects. So maybe you can make this look like a drawing. Here, I'm gonna make it look like a charcoal painting. There he goes. Look at that. That's the one of my effects that I like the most. Pretty cool, huh? If you haven't seen this one yet, look up. Look at that. I made a little pencil drawing. Okay. That was the artistic effect. That one is one of the ones that works the best. That grayscale one over there. It looks like a little pencil drawing. So you can do some fun stuff. It's not crazy good, but it's not that bad either. Some of these things are better than others. Yeah, looks like a little painting. This one makes it go all kind of neon. Depends on what you do. You can have some fun with it. So this one says photocopy. They have names, so you can play around with them. Okay, what's this one? Okay, so yeah, it's not a program in which you're gonna do art, but it's not bad. The top one to the left is none. You go back to not having any effect on the top left. What's this one? Oh, look at that. That's pretty cool. It's kind of like a posterized version. All right, I'm gonna go back to none because I'm gonna show you what color is. You go to color and you go, well, I want this thing, but I want it all to be in the yellow tones, or I want it all to be greenish, which is typical of a background. Imagine if this is going to be the background of your page, right? You do something like that, and you make it be a background, and you can make it be a bit lighter. So you're gonna desaturate it. You can go over here to transparent color. You go to color and you set transparent color right there. And picture options. Oh, that's my thing telling me to give you guys a break. Let's just finish this and then we can take a break. In color corrections, I can lighten this, I can soften it, I can darken it. So maybe I can give that as the background, right? And then I can go over here and I can make the text be white. Give it white text and I make it big. And there you, whoops, and there you go. That looks kind of good with just a couple of changes on this image. Look how different that page looks now. And all I did was make it be an element instead of a picture of that bee. I just made it be a background element. Does that make sense? So I'm not saying that this is awesome art, but it's not bad with what we had, which was this blah white thing with 4 blah photos. You begin to make certain things that are a bit more interesting, right? So it kind of works. Of course, each one of these is looking very different right now. All right. So next thing, let me go to this one here. And so anyway, you can make corrections if the colors are too dark, too bright. Anyway, just keep playing with those a little bit. But now the last one I want to show you here, because there's not much more, is if you decide, this isn't the photo I want, but you've designed everything to the point that that's exactly where the photo has to be, because the whole thing has been perfectly designed, and you delete it and you bring another photo, you have to start all over again. You could actually just change this picture with another. So say I go over here and choose another image. So I'm gonna go to an online source here, for example. And I'm gonna choose, I don't know, let me make more bees options, bees. And let me see. So here, oh, by the way, this is another way of free images. This search, okay, let me just show you this before I do it. If you're going to insert an image, either by inserting it from here, from online pictures, or in this case, I was changing it, but from an online source, it takes you to this thing, which is Bing, which is the Microsoft search engine. And any photos that appear over here are free for you to use. Not only photos, but illustrations. So if I hit bees, See, it says Creative Commons only. Remember I talked to you about Creative Commons? If you turn this off, then it searches the whole internet and then you're in trouble. So make sure to have this one turned on, because then any bee that it gives you here is going to be available to be used. So I'm going to go ahead and say, well, I want this bee now, right? I'm going to change it with this one and hit insert, and it replaces the other photo. Okay. Now, say that I go over here to one of these that I played around with, and I just want to get rid of all the stuff that I did to it. If I hit reset picture, oh, not this one, this one where I made color changes and all of that, like these changes. If I'm like, I can reset this picture and it goes back to being the one it was. I'm gonna undo that reset because I did like what it was, but I can reset picture and size and not just picture, and then it goes to my original one. I'm gonna keep doing undo because I kind of preferred that, okay? So you can just take all this playing around. If you don't like what happened, don't worry, you can just go and undo it. All right, now I'm gonna move this out of the way a little bit because the last thing that this is gonna show you is something similar, but with a shape. So let's go ahead and go to insert and let's bring in a shape. Insert, and then over here under the word shapes, there's all these different shapes that I can put in here. And then later we're gonna go to the smart art, but say I bring in this little cloud, for example. I've selected a cloud, I'm gonna click and drag, and look at that. I made a cute little cloud. I'm gonna, once you make that cloud, I'm gonna do that again. It's insert a shape. There's all of these shapes. Not that many, but say here's a little sun. And I click and drag. If I want it to be proportional, what is it that I told you before to use to keep things proportional? The shift key. I'm making it right now. So I just brought it out. So if I hold the shift key, it stays proportional. So there I've made a little sun, but it came out as my default filled with blue. So maybe I want to fill it with yellow. Maybe I want to give it an outline or not. Maybe I don't want it to have an outline. Maybe I do. You know, this is the same as before. Maybe I want it to have a big fat border of a certain color. So I'm choosing the border there, but this is the cool one. Look at this. What if, please look at this one because I can't show it any other way. What if I'm trying to give it a color and I want to change that color, but I want it to be that yellow, not any of those yellows, where there's something called an eyedropper. Get this eyedropper, and I'm going to say I want it to be that exact yellow. Pretty cool. Or I want it to, I'm going to pick that eyedropper again. I'm going to fill it with that exact pink. Boom. So I can really have that shape match, picking it up from a photograph. Okay. Again, I'm going to the fill, choosing the eyedropper, and I'm going to say, well, I want to give it the orange of that part of the bee. See that? So that's pretty cool. And by the way, I'm just doing it with a shape fill, but it could be that I want the border to have that eyedropper. I want it to be a big fat border. I'm going to give it a 6-point border, and I want that border to be bright pink. Okay, so, and then shape effects, just like the photos, it's very similar. I can give it a little effect where it's going to have a little, you know, glow, or it's going to have a little bevel, you know, or going to have a little 3D rotation, you know, all the kind of stuff that you did with, maybe you'll have a little shadow going in the bottom, and it's going to have, there it is, a little shadow underneath it. Okay, so that's kind of the same as before, where it just has, you know, you kind of explored these a little bit with the photos, right? The shapes. And so you just do that, but to a shape. But now I'm going to go ahead and kind of go back to, you go to the top and you say no presets to give it no glows or no shadows or no whatever. The top choice is always gone. And I'm going to go ahead and give it no outline. And I'm going to go ahead and give it a more, more interesting color. Give it that pink. And now what's interesting about all these shapes, no matter which one of the ones that I pulled out, is that you can write into them. So I can go ahead and say hello, and I've just by typing, as long as I'm selecting the shape. Now, how do I make that hello be a little bit bigger or smaller? I can double click the text and I can decide that I want it to be much bigger, much smaller than that, or much smaller. I want to change it into a funky font. I don't know, let me give it some funky font. I want it to be there. Now I made it be a bit of a funky font. Yeah, so there you go, right? So basically, that still follows the rules of text, right? I can go over here and tell it to be agency, okay? So I just, but how I do it, I'll pull out, okay, so I'm gonna move this out of the way a little bit and I'm gonna do it again. I'm gonna go to insert a shape. How about insert an icon? I'm gonna go ahead and insert an icon of, I wonder if they have a bee in here. What, a panda? Where is it? Okay. I don't see it. I'm sure you're. Thanksgiving, we're gonna bring in a turkey. Here's a turkey, right? If I distort it, it's gonna look really weird, right? So we wanna hold it from the corners for it not to distort. And then I'm gonna give it a color. Give it the yellow color. And then I'm gonna write, Thanksgiving. Oh, I need to change the font color. Oh, and the icon you can't write? Nope, you can't write on the icons. It needs to be a shape. All right, so I'm gonna go back and insert a shape then. I'm gonna bring in, I kind of like the cloud. It's cute. Happy cloudy day. All right. Anyway, as you can see, you can modify things in and out and out. Now, something more useful than all of these guys would be when you're trying to draw, say that this is something that relates to that image, then some of the shapes that you can do, it can be that you can add arrows. So say that I add, these arrows are pretty cool because say that I choose this one. It's a connector with a double curved arrow and I can just click and drag and say, this is connected to that, for example. Boom. I can make it be a much fatter weight outline. And then you're like, okay, so now this, is related to that. Does that make sense? So those are also kind of things that you can do. So that's all shapes. I'm going to go back to insert one last time. At the very top, recently used shapes. It's kind of putting all of the ones that I've just recently used. They're still here, but in case I want to use them again, it assumes that I'm going to want to use it. So it's going over there. And there one is a free form. I can actually scribble. I can write something. Not that most of us can write with a mouse, but I could if I wanted to write with that scribble. I could say, hello. And yeah, I've been able to kind of write. But then I can decide to make it yellow or bigger or fatter. Or, okay, so basically there's a lot of, I can make it be out of arrows. It starts and it ends with an arrow. There's a little arrow at the end of it. Okay, play around with that. I've shown you a lot. Now the rest is shape style, shape fill, put in right, and add slide transitions, merge shapes. Oh, you can merge shapes. Say that I insert, let me insert this box. And then I'm going to also insert this triangle right there. And I can select both and I can merge them. And I can unite them. And now this is one new shape. I'm running out of space. Get rid of that, get rid of that, get rid of
It's
that.
like my cricket.
What?
It's like the cricket.
Kind of, yeah. So now I've made that. Let me undo that, unmerge, which you can do too, I believe. I believe you can unmerge. Let me make sure. Nope, looks like I cannot unmerge. Okay, then you're stuck with it. But what you can do is edit the shape. So I'm going to head over here to edit this shape, change my shape and tell it to become a lightning bolt, right? Or better yet, I can change the shape to edit the points, and then I can actually go over here and make this shape be a whole nother shape by editing the points. Okay, so then I make it be this big old arrow, for example, that's a little bit skewed or whatever. All right, and that's a combination of a rectangle and a triangle, and then I just edited the shapes to have some fun. You guys, when it comes to art and shapes, I can go on forever, so just showing you the stuff, you guys get to play. But yeah, you're gonna have to merge a shape. You're gonna have to use grids, guides, shape, fill right in them. So everything I'm showing you. But the one thing I haven't shown you yet, which is kind of cool. So I made this shape. And guess what? Watch. I can actually, any shape that you make, I made this shape. I don't need to fill it only with color. I can also fill it with a picture. So I'm going to go here and I'm going to search a picture. And it's usually useful here in demo to, if you have a picture in your home. But I'm going to go ahead and fill that shape with water and I'll insert. So here we go. I've just made a shape and then I've inserted a picture into it. Okay. I'm looking at the other things that they're going to have us do. So insert a picture as a shape fill, move objects, merge shapes, add a footer, slide transition. Let me look to the other insert. Oh, symbols. I just showed you icons or symbols. Oh, insert a hyperlink. All right, let's go select any of the text that's there and let's assume that this is a link. The important thing about hyperlinks, again, it's all under insert. You can insert pictures, screens, albums, shapes, CD, anything that's in here is insert. And here it is, you can link to something on the internet. So if I click over here, then it tells me, what do I want to link? A file or a web page or another document, or do I want to put an email in here? So say that I want to do that. So the best thing you can do is to go to the internet and have the actual address. So let me share the entire page again, because the links can't be just like CNN.com. It has to be http://www.cnn.com. It has to be the whole address, right? So I'm going to go here and I'm going to go ahead and I don't know, what do we want to, the weather.com. So say I go to the weather channel. So this only says weather.com. That's not good enough. But if I click in there, right in there, and I copy, if I do a right click and I copy, or if I just do Command C to copy, notice that then the entire address appears. So that I go to cnn.com, right? If I go in here and I want to copy that and I say copy, then it's going to give me the whole https www.cnn.com. That's what's being copied. So then I go back in here and I select this text and I want to make it be a link. I can just right click. I can go into insert. I can right click and I can, is it not give me insert hyperlink from here? Link and text to display. And then over here's the address. I'll paste the entire thing. And sometimes the addresses are these really long names. Then I'll say, okay. And so I did that's an hyperlink. If I want to go there, then I can, when this is sharing, so say that I'm sharing the screen and I'm going, and you got to go see my website. And I click on this, it's active and it takes me to that page. Okay. So when you're working on it though, it's not active. If I click on it, it's not. I would have to click on it and then either tell it to go to that page. I can say, open that link, right? The only time that you can just click it and make it work as a link is if you're actively presenting that presentation. Then you can just click on it and you go there. Okay. So that's how you insert a link. You select something that could be linkable. You can also link this. You could say that you want this image to be a link. You click over here and you have this one go over to, I'm going to paste cnn.com. And so this becomes a link. And when I click on it, when I share it, when I'm sharing the screen, I click on that and it's going to take me to the internet, right? So you can link anything, not just text, but, you know, you click in here and go show a video that you posted on. Maybe you have a little video that you posted in YouTube. You put the link to it here, and when you click to it, it's the beach going in and out, and it's just like, you know. So I can go over here to, let me go to YouTube. And once I'm in YouTube, I'm gonna search for waves or beach or something like that. And I do a little search, and here it is. Maybe this is a little video of
I've been
waves.
thinking a lot about the unimaginable situations.
Skip. It'll probably be better if it's not something that has an ad to it. So say that this, so I'm gonna go over here to share. Stop the sound. Pause the sound. Okay, so I go over to here to share, and I will copy the link. That's the entire link. So when I go over here, and I'm going to edit this this link, right? I'm gonna give it a link, take that, paste and set, and I'm gonna say okay, right? I'm gonna run this. And when I click on this, it's gonna, yeah. Really? Did I not link it? Yeah, I need to. I think you need to embed it. It's not gonna let me go straight from in here. Browser's up to date. You use the latest features, browse YouTube's. Yeah, it's just taking me to YouTube, not to that link. The thing is, you need to have your own, like I put my own videos up, so it would work. But if you go to the general YouTube, they don't want you to be posting as yours, anyone else's video. So that's why it's not giving me a commercial link to it. But if it's your video that you inserted, then you can do that. Okay. All right. Insert a symbol, convert, oh, smart text. All right. Last thing. Let's, if you want to save this to keep it, go for it. But there's another file I asked you to update, which is the sample smart art and shapes. So let's double click on that one. And this is the one that I had you guys open. It's got a couple things set up. You already saw how to move elements here and there, align them, so we don't need to do that. But this is an image. This is just a photo, right? So it's the whole thing as one big thing. That it's not what you do. But if you want to make this shape, which is not the one you guys make similar, but not this one, then you make the individual shapes, which I already showed you. Go to insert design and you make the shape. And then you need to be able to know how to move them around to be able to, so basically the stuff that we just did, if I'm trying to imitate that one, right, I would put this over there. I would move this over here and I would have to copy it, right? So I can do a copy paste or Control C, Control V, or I can right click and copy and stuff like that. But right now I like Control C and then click somewhere else and Control V, and then I get a perfect copy of it. But to align them, remember, I want to make them work really well. Then I'm going to go ahead and use those pink lines. It's hard to see. Let me get rid of the gray background. Doesn't make it be very useful. I had a better version of this before. Today I put this one in. But now these are aligned because even though you can't see it, I did check that the lines are the same place. I put this guy in the middle and I would use this to make sure that it's aligned exactly in the middle, for example. And then I would use this to make sure that they are centered. Again, it's hard to see because I don't have this gray background. It's a very bad idea. And then if that's what I'm trying to make it be, let's say that you have to make this one. This exists as a shape. Let's go to insert. And this is actually the kind of assignment that you're gonna have to do. I'm gonna go to the shape, and this is one of those little arrows down here. It's this one there. So now when I click and drag, that's the arrow that's coming out. And as I move it around, it changes shape until I have it being whatever I want it to be. And then I have to like select it and twirl it to have it go, say, from, I don't know where it comes from here to there, or I think it's the other way around. It goes from here to there. Anyway, so you would do that, and then here you can distort it because this doesn't like, it's not like a bee that needs to look a certain way or a person that needs to look a certain way. And then you would modify and, you know, et cetera, et cetera. So this is the kind of assignment that you're gonna have to do. But you might have to, no matter how much you modify it, it isn't taking on the right shape. So you just change it till you get the shape that you want by using these boxes, which you can do when it's this abstract shape, but you shouldn't be doing if you're doing, you know, a face or a dog or a bee or something like that. But it's fine to do it with this kind of stuff because, you know, it doesn't mean anything. All right. Now, the one last thing, and then we're done with this, is that what if you wanted this ball to be on top of the arrow? I'm going to go ahead and give it a different color so that we can have 3 different colors here. So what if I wanted this green to be on top of the blue and the orange to be on top of the green or something? And the red right now is on top of everything. They appear in the order in which they were made. So this means that the first one I made is a circle. The second one I made is this blue one. The third one, you saw me make this one today. And then the last thing I made was this arrow. So that's the order in which they show up. I can't put this on top. I can move them sideways, but I can't put them on top unless I change their stacking order, which would be using the arrange feature. So say that I want to bring this orange to the front. I can head over here and there's bring forward or send backward. I prefer to right click. Oh, why isn't the right click working today? Can I not just bring it forward like this? Yeah, I'll right click and it's easier to just say bring to front or send to back this way. But you can also go over here and say bring forward, we'll bring it in one at a time. So notice if I say bring forward, it's gonna click one time, it went above the blue. Click one more time, it went above the green. Click one more time, it went above the red. But if I say send backwards, it'll go one by one by one by one. But if instead I say bring to front, boom, it comes all the way to the front, or bring to back or send to back, and it goes all the way to the back. Okay, so that's how you would move things around. So now if I just want to put it in between the green and the blue, I would have to bring it just forward. So now I'm just right clicking and I'm just going bring forward, and there it is. Then maybe this arrow is supposed to go to the back. When they're separate, you can't see their stacking order, but when they're on top of each other, that's when you can see, right? And then maybe I want to move the green one to the back, so I'm going to right click and send it all the way to the back. And then the green one is back here and orange is on top and the red is whatever. Okay, so you either select them, you can do 2 at a time. Maybe I want to bring the 2 blue and green to the front. I select both with a shift and then I bring them both to the front. Boom, and they both came in front of everything. Or I want to send the orange and the arrow to the front. So again, bring to front. Okay, so you can do it 1 at a time or many at a time. But yeah, so I think that's kind of the last thing with shapes, the whole moving them position wise and order, stacking order wise, all here under the arrange. And then I already showed you up here is where you have the rotate again, the align, which was, you know, align them center over there. And then the rotate kind of, I prefer moving this little thing around to twirl them. But if you want to, you could rotate them 90% or whatever. The one that you don't have here is the flip. I can go ahead and flip it, which in this case isn't so obvious, but if you have like text and I select text and I flip it, no, this, I don't think it flips text, does it? Because it knows it's wrong. Oh yeah, it does. It flips vertical and horizontal. So it's moving it into the different orders. Okay. You can't see if I flip this, you wouldn't be able to tell. That's why I went to text. All right. So again, you double click and all the choices over here. At this point, they should be kind of becoming familiar to you because we've used them a lot. Last one say that you have a series of words in here, you can turn them into word word art. But I just wanted to show you really quickly one word. Remember that we did this in Word, that if you select all this text, you have this thing called text effects. You can go over here and add different text effects to it. Well, I guess actually these are bullets, so it won't work. But what I want to show you is actually word art. The name's Smart Art. I'm sorry, not word art, Smart Art. This is Smart Art. What's Smart Art? Well, let me actually put a new slide in here to show you a basic set of slides. Say that I want to insert Smart Art. Again, it's all in their insert. Here's this thing called Smart Art. I'm going to click on Smart Art, and it gives me not charts, but like what are these called? Maps or order or processes or relationships, or how do you call it when you have like the org charts, that kind of thing. There's all kinds of different possibilities or charts or processes. Hierarchy. So for example, if I want to say who's here, I'm going to choose this one, for example. I'm going to do the org chart with this one, and I'll say, okay. There it is. This is called Smart Art. Why is this Smart Art? Let me click away. This is what we have. If I select it, then I can either write in here, I can say this is, for example, the CEO, right? And then I can click in here and I can say that this is the, I don't know, manager one, right? And so on and so forth. Or I can click on it and I can put all my information in here. I can say this is manager 2. But the problem is that manager 1 and manager 2 should be at the same level, because over here, who we have is worker 1, worker 1 and worker 2. I'm not able to write worker 2. And then notice that what I did is I put like a little tab and I brought it in the bullet line. And so now worker 1 and 2 are under manager 1, manager 1, manager 2, and manager 2 is under manager 1. But that's, you know, we shouldn't be that. Manager 2 and manager 1 should be at the same level. So I can just drag it and change it. And then they're both, maybe worker 1 is here under this one and worker 2 is under that. So you can just play around with things like that, or I'm going to undo all that and show you, let me just undo those and be back to manager 1 and 2. So what if manager 1 and 2 have to be at the same level? So I can just hit return and see the bullet position is making that manager 2 is at the same level now as CEO. So they're both up there because they have the same level position. But when I go tab in one time, then it goes under. And then this one here, which was, I don't know, guy 1 is at the same level as manager 2. But if I hit tab, I'm putting guy 1 under manager 2. So the order of these, of the bullet points by hitting return or tab or enter is telling me how to organize the org chart. Does that make sense? Yeah. This one here is interesting because you can, so this is an example of step 1, task description, step 2, task description. So these are different things that they need to do. Notice what happens if I do a tab on this one. Sorry, not on the word, but on the piece. If I do a tab on this one, then the balance changed because I put it under that. Task description is inside of task description now. I'm gonna undo that, and now they're both equal, right? Or if I do that, if I just disappear one of these completely, I'm gonna hit here and I'm gonna disappear that one. Same thing happens, I'm gonna disappear that one, right? So you can just, or you can go over here and just write some more. So I'm gonna undo those, and then I'm gonna hit a return, and I'm gonna put another thing. I'm gonna say step 3, step 3, and I'm gonna hit return, but then this one, I'm gonna back out. So now I've made a step 3. Where did my step 3 go? Oh, because this art doesn't accept 3. Yeah, it might not. This is, you have to choose a deferred art. If you want 3 steps, then you would have to go change it. So say that I didn't like this one. Well, I can go and change the art. I'll go over here and I tell it, I think this other one might tell my story better. Boom. Or I think this shape might change my story better. Or I think this one will tell my story better. Does that make sense? Now, if you hate those colors, you can change the colors and say, I want it to be those colors. No, I want it to be those colors, but I want it to be back to this one. Or I want it to be, you know, those colors. So as you can see, you can keep playing and playing and playing until you get the kind of art that says the things that you want it to say. All right. Now, you can also have one of these be filled with a color, or you can also fill it with an image. So you can also do that kind of thing to these things. I'm going to go back to this one. And let me, in the formatting, you can have this shape be filled also with a picture. So I'm going to go to a picture of a, I don't know, CEO. Is there a picture of such a thing as a CEO? I don't think so. Yeah, here's a CEO looking person. I'm going to insert that one. And yeah, he's a bit distorted, but this is the picture of my CEO. Okay. So is everything I showed you before that you can change the color, the shape, the brand, fill in with a pattern. I'm going to fill this one with a pattern. I'm going to go over here and use a texture or a gradient. I'm going to put little bubbles under this one. Got it? So I'm going to put, I'm going to select this one. I'm going to fill it with a gradient, and I'm going to choose a gradient like that. Right? So everything else I showed you about art then can be applied to these shapes, which although they're in the form of smart art, because they're charts or things, but they're still shapes that can be filled, written on. You can change the text, the font. If you don't like this font, you can select this font and go in here and make it be whatever, Algerian. And what color? Algerian and bright blue, for example. That's horrible. That's an example of bad contrast, but okay. So that seems about it. I'm looking at the list. Shape, text, object grids, slides. Yeah. The only thing I haven't done is it says search and download an online theme. You guys did themes last week, right? So this is where themes really become much more important than anywhere else, because in the past themes were kind of hard to understand, and Word, why would you have a theme? But over here, themes became a much more interesting conversation. So I'm going to go over here and look for one of these themes to make all of this look much more, you know, a certain way. So I'm going to make, I don't know, what theme should I use for this? I'm going to use this theme. Nah, I think I liked, this is one that has like stars or something. I'm going to make that theme be, of course, these colors now don't work for this theme, but everything changed theme. But the only difference is that if you run out of themes and you don't like any of these themes, right? You go to these themes and you go, nah, none of these, then you can just browse for themes down here. Click on browse for themes and it'll take you. If you have anything on your own computer that you've saved, you can click on that, or you can go up to create a new file and you search online for templates. So maybe you want to search for a theme. Let me go ahead and search themes online. Let me go for search for online themes, and I don't know, sunny, or, you know, a sunny theme. And then there's a theme that someone designed for sunny, or a vacation theme. you hit return, and there you go, there's all of these, so maybe maybe you like this one. So you select this one, and it gives you an idea. If you choose it and you like it, because you like this presentation, then you go, okay, create, and it downloads that template from the internet, and there you go. Now you have a theme that didn't exist, that's kind of vacation minded or something. It's not very original, but there you go. Okay, so that's just searching online for a theme, which is the only other. Oh, and I don't know if you guys at home saw that because I'm not sharing that page, but
Can you show me again how you put the picture in the little square?
yeah, so say that I insert, here we go. This theme has some smart art right there. Is that smart art? Yeah. So this is smart art. Look, you just select, no, it's okay. So say that this is the theme I just downloaded from the internet, and this is, you can tell how it's selected that this is smart art. And if you can't, when you click on it, you can see it's smart art. Then you need to isolate that shape. So I'm going to double click until I'm isolating just that one shape, see? And now that one shape, now I can go ahead and tell it to be, I'm going to go to the design, to the format mode, and I'm going to fill it with a picture. Right? So if I have that picture, that's fine. But if not, if I have a picture like all my CEOs or something, but if I don't, I'm going to go over here and ask for a shell, for example. Shell. Jesus, this keyboard's going to kill me. I'm going to ask for a shell, and I'm going to bring this one in here, and I'm going to fill that with that shell. Okay. You select the shape, you isolate it from the others. You need to make sure that's the one that you're selecting versus the rest. And then you go over here to the design format. And under format, you give it whatever fill you want. And in this case, that's where I went and chose. Maybe I'll choose a texture of water for this one. And then for this one, I'm going to choose a texture with this, a gradient. Or a picture again. I can choose different colors that don't exist here. I can go to this page and I can just go, oh, I'm going to make my own little color here. Make it be, I don't know, bright pink. Actually, the color, you might be more limited. You might need to go into this set of colors. I don't know if you can play with colors around individually as much because it is part of the theme that you chose, which is like bluish type of tones. Anyway, but picture fill, yeah, you can put in any image you want. And then here you can either, as I said, write it there, you can say, you know, debris, you can write the word shell or something like that. You go to the next one and write sea stars. You bring in a picture of sea stars, and here we're going to write otters, whatever. And then you go and you find a, see if you can insert a picture of an otter. So you format picture otter. Yay, really cute little otter. Insert otter. There you go. Right now, obviously I would have to move this text out of the way and change the position of it and whatnot, but there you go. All right, I think that's a good overview of all the things you're going to need to know to work on module 2. As you can see, a lot of it is playing around with colors and shapes and stuff. Anything that you tried to do that didn't work, anything that you've just been watching and not doing. It's so funny because how I teach these classes is so different than how I teach my non-credit classes. When you don't have a book to follow, then we all just do a whole project together, and you do it and I do it and I show you how to do it. But here you have a book you have to follow. So I give you an idea of how all the tools work and then go make it. But I would appreciate it if you tried to just do something on your own, to have some fun, to do it a bit differently than what those things tell you to do it, so that you can actually get more creative.
I have actually a class assignment where we have to present a couple slides and we do it in Google Slides. Is there a way for me to make my slides in this and then import it into Google Slides?
Yeah, yes and no. Let's say that we go to this one this B thing. Do I still have the B one open? Yeah, was this one that had the Bs? Okay, say that I save this file, right? B practice, I'm gonna actually save as, because I'm gonna be able to go back to the basic one. So I'm gonna save this one. I'm gonna put in the desktop. And I'm gonna call this one B practice, for Google Slides, so I know that this is the one I'm gonna say, okay. So then, if I go to, let's go find my Canvas. And I go up to my homepage. Let me head over to my pipeline and sign in. I'm gonna go over to my Google Drive. And I'm gonna upload this file. So I'm gonna go over here and I'm gonna go into my drive and I'm going to go over here and I'm gonna, I think I put it on my desktop. Did I do it? Yeah, so here's my practice. So I'm gonna drag it in here into my drive. So it's uploading. Now, when I tried to use it from here, and I think, organize it, but would it be under B's? I have on. Let me go select, search it. B.
These practice for Google Slides.
Look for my B files. I think it's one of these. B2. Oh, I guess I have a whole bunch of them.
Yeah.
Where's the B practice one?
Use B plural one and it's a different.
Oh. Bees practice. Okay, let me see. Because I have these files up online all the time. So bees practice. Here it is. So if I try to open it right now, right? I am in Google and this is a PowerPoint file. If I double click to try to open it, it says opening it in Google Slides. Now, some of the things we're going to translate and some are not. Let's check it out. Whenever it can, it seems to have translated, in this case, pretty well,
Yeah.
but I won't be able to get back
No.
the stuff that I removed, right?
Right.
This is not like where it is, it's been fixed. You don't have those choices. Google Docs, Google Slides, all those, they just have less options. So if you got really crazy, you might not be able to recover that kind of stuff. That said, most of this, you know, if you have a font that maybe you didn't have, it wouldn't work. But if you try to do this and move it around, it still does that thing. See, Google Slides still has those, they're not pink, they're blue, but see how it also still does that. So a lot of the things it does have, and then others it doesn't. If you want to do transitions,
We don't have things like.
Yeah.
So
It's very limited.
Yeah.
it is, you can change the background, you can apply layouts, you can do transitions. Here are the transitions, right? But you can't, here's a theme. So you can choose, there's not very limited
Okay.
themes, but it
Okay,
has
yeah,
some
that's good.
themes. So
Okay.
maybe you can add, I don't know, this theme to it. Not pretty, but there you go. So, you know, it kind of, you can import some other themes. Maybe I'll put that theme instead. So it does have some, it's much more limited, but it's not impossible.
Yeah.
If you want to go really crazy good, Keyword actually is really pretty. Keyword is the Apple version. And of course, Apple Art. Keyword is actually really good. It's almost better than PowerPoint as the graphic options. It does things, the default templates and stuff are much prettier than default templates of Office. But Google is much more limited, but it's not impossible. As you can see, the stuff translated and then you just make it pretty here as much as you can. I don't know what it would do with Smart Art. What would it do? It's interesting to see what would it do with Smart Art. This one here, where's the one that we did the Smart Art on? Let me go over here to PowerPoint. By the way, if you need to go, I'm just curious now to find out the answer to the Smart Art. So this is the one that sample shapes in practice. Let me do a save as. The colors are bad, but let me go back to desktop. And call this one A, so that if I look at it alphabetical order, it'll be easy. All right, so now I'm gonna go to my to my Google. And I'm going to upload my AAA PowerPoint. Is it coming in? I don't think I put it in there. No, I didn't. Okay, so let me. No, it's not letting me because the file, did I finish the save? Yeah, I finished the save. Okay, so why do I have two here? I should have only one. Here, AAA PowerPoint. Where's my Google Drive? Here's my drive. Okay, so I'm gonna grab the AA PowerPoint and I'm gonna drop it into my drive. Okay, so it's popping up. Let me do a search for AAA. And oh, come on. I don't have a lot of stuff with AA, do I? A most relevant, last modified. Come on. AAA. Come on. Jesus. I just have too much stuff going on in here. It's just a mess. I should have put it in a folder. Let me actually go do that because I have no idea where it went. Let me just go put it in a folder, my comp folder. Let me just go put it in the comp folder. I don't know. I need to see you. Can't move it if I can't see you. AAA comp. There we go. Drop it in there. That'll be much easier. Okay. So here's my AAA PowerPoint. Double click. It's opening up. It's translating it. And let me see what it did with the smart art. Looking at it just as a grouped piece of art. Text becomes separate from the box. Yeah, it's just like it doesn't. It just becomes little bits and pieces.
Yeah.
So it doesn't smart art, doesn't do smart art. But still, if you do it all ready to go and you bring it in, it'll keep it static as you brought it, just as an image. You can't probably change. Can you change the text in here? Yeah, the text can be changed some. Yeah. But because it's considering it a piece of text now, separate from its photo, like I can move the photo and the text will stay, but it works, right? So as long as you don't change too much, it'll work. It might change the font you use, so don't get too crazy, do it. And then when you open it up, modify what needs to be modified, and it should work pretty well. Yeah, it kind of works. The shapes stay as shapes. You still do have the whole, you can turn this and bring it up and you can go to the right and it has the arrange. Oh, you can, and there's animations. What animations does it have? Anyway, appear, fly in from left, play. Come on, fly in. I don't know. I haven't played around too much with this one. It's not flying in. It's trying to make fly in from left. It's just changing the whole thing instead of flying in. Ah, there it is. It finally came in. Right. Anyway, so yeah, don't get too precious with it and it'll work. All right. Yeah, done. Do your work. If you want to stay and do the work, go for it. If not, go and work at home. Have fun. Or stay and do your work here, which some of you might have already been working on it. And yeah, this is like, I didn't give you guys a break, so. Or start taking your exam, running through the trainings. Unless anyone at home has a question, you can stay online or you can go, or I can stop the recording if you're not gonna be online, but if you're online and and you're doing your work and you want my support, you can stay on, or you can just sign out. Whatever you choose to do, you're welcome, Liliana.
Okay, I'll sign out tonight.
Okay,
I'm gonna sign out also.
all right.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Bye,
Good
guys.
night.
Night.
Fun. This is the fun part.
Bye. Good night.
Bye, bye, Marcela.
Bye.
Bye, Susie. Bye, Liliana. And Christina, are you saying goodbye? Are you staying?
Yeah, no, I'm leaving. Sorry.
Okay. All right. See you next week then. Have a great week and ask me any questions if you have any. Email. Bye.